Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here at the Brawl Stars Open. If you just got through watching the end in Europe, well, don't worry, the excitement's going to continue. We are now moving into North America, starting in the quarterfinals. My name is Finch. I'm joined at the desk by Dave Dolson Olsen.
We're back.
And yeah, I'm happy to have you here back, Dave. Yeah, you can come watch some really good competition as opposed to the Bengals you've been watching. Oh no, dude!
You're gonna bring me out of the desk. We're gonna be having some fun, getting into the North American side of things, and then bring me right back to the green room where I was watching my Cincinnati Bengals get absolutely smattered by the 49ers. The top team in the league, though, you know, the 49ers are certainly one of the better teams, so it's understandable.
Who's better than them?
It's understandable that the Bengals would be losing. Sad stuff, but happy that we're jumping back into North America.
Yes, we will see very likely some closer competition happening here, as I said.
Anything is closer.
Yes, we'll be starting in the quarterfinals. Let's kind of give you all a rundown of exactly how all these teams are playing. We're still in the first stage of things here. This open qualifier stage where it was open for anyone to come in and play, and everyone's trying to make it to that regional finals. That's going to be happening 2 weeks out from now. And then from that regional finals, we'll have some qualifiers going to the South Korea World Finals. They'll be playing there live in person. That is what it's all about.
And getting really down to the wire, you see a few of these teams later on today are going to start filling in that final bracket, but it's not all about going to South Korea. I mean, it really is, but along the way, you get yourself some change as well. 600 down to 150, depending on how you place. So yeah, you get to go to Worlds and also make some money along the way.
That's right. So if you are that fourth place team, you don't go home with nothing. You at least get the $150. At the end of it, third and fourth place will be battling for that third and final spot, I believe, to be making it into that regional qualifiers. So it's certainly worth making it to the top four, at the very least for a little bit of cash in your pocket. But obviously, you are trying to make it into that regional qualifier if you can. Now, the teams who have already qualified from earlier on, you won't have to worry about seeing them here in the bracket if you're playing this time.
Thank God.
At the very least, they're out of your way, so you have some chance to try and win some of these matches against some of the other competition.
Yeah, as you can see here, 3 spots TBD, all going to be determined today, depending on your seeding, is how you're going to slot on in there. Tribe Gaming is one that I kind of have my eye on. Obviously, they're already qualified. We won't see them today, but very tried and true, a mainstay in the North American Brawl Stars scene. So when we do have our regional finals here in a couple of weeks, definitely keep your eye on them.
That is a scary bracket, though, man. You're going to need to spend those 2 weeks grinding, I feel like, if you want to come in prepared. Here is the bracket writ large for today. As I said, we are already into the quarterfinals. It looks like everything is fine, has already made it out of the quarterfinals and are awaiting who else will be able to make it there. Space Station Gaming and Nova, I believe, is a match that we'll be watching. You can see them down there in the bottom right in that quarterfinal spot. And Space Station Gaming, I believe, have had a pretty tough draw. Up until now, they've been playing against the eventual bracket winner every single time, so hopefully this time will be their time.
Yeah, it's surprising, honestly, not seeing them qualified at the moment. I mean, if you were looking at that bracket of all the already qualified teams, the notable standout to me is that Nova and Space Station, honestly, are not qualified yet, and it's tough. This is the last week. They run into each other in the quarterfinals, so one of the two of them still potentially could not qualify, depending on how this match plays out. But you're right, Space Station have had a tough draw over the last couple of weeks, eventually running into, as you said, the top team from that bracket. Very good team. I expect big things out of them today, but again, you're running into Nova, another mainstay in North American Brawl Stars in the quarterfinals. So this is a big matchup to look at, honestly. If you were telling me that this was the finals matchup, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I would definitely believe it. And remember how the format works. If these two teams met in semifinals, then there's a chance that one of them could be that third place team, right, in that third and fourth place match later on of the loser of it. But because it's in quarters, someone's going home basically with nothing. And someone's going to go home losing to 8-Bit, very likely, because he's not been banned here. Tick and Gene are the bans. That makes some sense. You don't want to have to deal with the magic hand. Tick is so good at that zone control. You want to get those out of there. But, man, I mean, the likes of BB, Rosa, 8-Bit that you still have to contend with is certainly frightening.
Lots to look at there for sure. I'm excited. I get to see some 8-Bit, hopefully, for the first time today. I'm 0 on 8-Bit up to this point, so at least maybe the potential here in the quarterfinals. Of course, these are the sets. At least we're going to see Heist, Siege, and Bounty, if necessary, jump down to Gem Grab and Brawl Ball. So lots of fun. You and I, something about Bounty on Snake Prairie. We're getting it again.
That's right, man. That one should be fun to watch a little bit later on, and we'll certainly get a chance to. But we're going to be starting off things on Heist. Yet again, we're on Safe Zone, which makes me think that we'll be seeing Daryl's very likely on both teams. The question just becomes, where do they go aside from those Daryls, right? I imagine some sharpshooters, probably some Pipers in there. The real question, I think, is the frontliners. You want Bulls, you want Emos, where do they want to go?
I mean, as most of the maps are, this one's all about mid-control. Some maps, you kind of slice it horizontally, but this is, I mean, there's literally a straight shot from safe to safe. Piper's huge here, and it's honestly kind of it's like a game of chicken almost, where, I mean, she's a very good brawler to have, but you almost have to pick her because if the other team picks her and you don't have her, the lack of range is so noticeable and so bad. So in a way, she not only is good, but you have to pick Piper just to avoid being the team without the Piper on your side.
And then one more time, those bans for y'all on this one, I believe that was Tick and Gene that were taken off the table. And it makes a ton of sense to me that Tick was removed here at this point, man. I mean, as far as throwers go, he covers so much space. And he's able to kind of safely step up just long enough to drop out some damage. They obviously break out and cover a good bit of ground, then move back. It can be hard to kill him. And then his super can kind of maneuver back there and get to brawlers that are tucked away as well. He's just, I feel like he just is versatile and fits in almost every comp.
He is kind of the epitome of space control, if you look at it that way. The mini mines, obviously, one throw from him splits out into 3 separate mines and covers a huge distance. So at any given time, if you spam those primaries as Tick, you have 9 mines laying out in the middle of the field.
Right.
Tough to play against, so certainly makes sense that you ban him out.
And then Gene on the other side banned away. I know it says support here, but I feel like my man puts in plenty of damage as well. The magic hand, kind of the end-all be-all for me on Gene, and then Gene's performance within matches too. That pull is so strong on gem grab for finding the one with all those gems on them. Just about any map where you're kind of normally at parity and you need that big swing play, Gene comes in and provides it.
And actually, if you look at the maps that we have here, you and I casted, I think it was the quarterfinals for our first round of the day, or the European side of things.
Right.
Gene was essentially in every single one of those games. I mean, if you look ahead to our third game mode, Bounty on Snake Prairie, Gene is kind of a mainstay in that matchup. So I'm excited to see what teams place in place of that Gene. You know, gem grab, it's so important being able to try to pull things back. Maybe you have to play a little safer, but we do get to see some 8-bit right off the bat. Piper for SSG.
He's Marshawn Lynch in his way on in there.
He is not fast, is he?
Tyrant Star on the 8-bit, who's quite slow, a full arcade cabinet trying to make his way around. Piper's on both sides, of course. Daryl's on both sides, so it is the difference then between this 8-bit for Tyrant Star and Corey.
Yeah, the difference is definitely noticeable. You're going to get a little extra, I guess, more consistent poke out of the Penny, whereas 8-bit, you have a little bit more spread, so you get a little wider area, a little bit less damage. Once that super drops down from Tyrant Star, big swings of damage. Bobby getting aggressive. First blood to Tyrant Star down below. Mid-control, though, stays the same.
That's what a Daryl does for you. Even though he doesn't get his target, it opens up for Portal to end up falling on the right-hand side to Tyrant Star, so both the Daryls looks like get traded out. But this control mostly belonging to Nova Esports as they push in onto Space Station Gaming. That is the 8-bit super that's there too as the damage amplification. And so the Daryls just zoom right past each other, both hitting home. No, Portal actually did not win his match, so that comes up almost entirely SSG.
Swap sides on that one. Only damage right now, 2% missing from the SSG safe. As Bobby looks to roll in, get some damage of his own onto the opposite.
He is just chilling, and the door's been open for OG to move in as well and start taking a couple of pot shots. No one's been able to deal with Bobby. So to make up for it, Corey's trying to move in position, and this turret is going to keep taking shots, but now has to swap over to Tyrant Star, who cleans it up quite nicely on the 8-bit.
Look what Bobby was able to do to the Nova Esports base. He rolled through there, and now 27% remaining for the red side. Portal looking to trade something back, but fighting into that 8-bit boost, especially Daryl, who's so effective from close range. Not going to have a good time.
And Bobby shows what he can do on the other side. He rolls in, drops the Penny, Shadow Jutsu, gets sniped by Tyrant Star on the 8-bit, and now he's damage amped, putting in damage on the safe. That's rectified by Portal, who responds with a roll. But I feel like that first Daryl trade we saw happen on this bottom right pool was so big. Ever since then, SSG has had the mid control and the favorable trades.
It's been an uphill battle for sure since then. 13 seconds are left. If the game were to end now, SSG would win. Some more trades, and it looks like they're going to seal it up.
And I like this. They're just leaving Tyrant Star back as kind of that base defense. He can't move that fast anyway. An unnecessary safe destructions. They were going to win on time either way. But Space Station, the ones that come on top here in this star-studded match between Nova and Space Station.
Yeah, and that shows you the benefit of having an 8-bit on your side. Being able to kite backwards, it's not even so much a hyper-aggressive brawler. The base defense was just so effective. The roll in from Portal and Tyrant Star was just chilling back, winning those engagements every time. And you do this. Toss the damage amp down next to Bobby. Bobby's going to win the trades for you in a Daryl versus Daryl matchup. The one with extra damage tends to win.
Yes, I would imagine so. If we both are hitting all our shots, well, I've got free damage from 8-bit, so not bad at all. We stay on safe zone, of course, here. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see the penny change up here. I think that the draft from Nova could potentially be part of the problem there from. I don't think that was matching the 8-bit value on the other side. And it looks like we are indeed going to be seeing that.
Yeah, they tend to agree with you here. They swap out the penny for the 8-bit. This is a true Daryl for the 8-bit. Still have the penny. The potential for turret damage for Corey is definitely there, so not something they're looking to give up. Losing that Daryl, though, you're not going to be able to traverse that water quite as easily, and with some slow characters on your side, a little bit less mobility now for Nova Esports. Bobby, though, getting poked down very heavily. First blood, traded out for both sides.
Tyrant Star and the Piper trading blows there in the middle. And that actually did buy time for Bobby to heal up so we can roll in as soon as Shadow Jutsu respawns, forces out the Piper super, and he's able to keep going to find the kill. That's huge. Now OG could just take pot shots. I mean, that's what this Daryl does for you, man. They traded that out this round. I just don't know if that was the right call.
Yeah, he opens up the door. He's, you pick him over like a bull, I guess, in this case because of the role. I mean, Bull can travel over the water as well. I think just the way that you're playing on a Daryl makes a little bit more sense in this matchup. And you're right, missing out on that traversability is, I don't know if that's a word, but it's what came to mind. And Bobby's adding that here. 59% is all that's left, and he's free and clear to move into the base. Some trading out on the SSG safe, down to 48% for Nova Esports.
Nova Esports is low. But now it's time for Piper to move in, drops the super and Shadow Jutsu. All he can do is try and find some trades. Bobby cleans up Portal in the point-blank contest. 59 to 34% on the saves here so far, but an aggressively placed turret on the side of Nova Esports does help them out. But there comes the damage amp.
Yeah, and if nothing else, you can stand behind it. Gives you a little body blocking on a few of those shots. Shadow Jutsu missing out on maybe a kill or two there because of that damage amp from the 8-bit being in the way. 24% as we round out to about 30 seconds remaining into this game. A good defense from SSG will seal up Siege for them.
Yeah, I just don't know if we've been getting enough from Portal on this 8-bit this game. Right when I say that, it makes a big play along with Shadow Jutsu to win against the Daryl that was diving. But it's felt like this base defense from Tyrant Star has been brutal.
Yes, he's just dropped down the damage amp on their side, getting very close, 25%. They're 1% off. They need one more shot with 7 seconds left. They find it.
But Bobby's going to dive in using the super. He just needs to get close enough, but he can't match the percentage. Nova Esports sneak it at the end with that damage amp in the middle, and they tie things up 1-1.
That's what I mean. You look at these two teams, it's so wild seeing them in the quarterfinals and then also neither of them being qualified for the regional finals.
Right.
Yeah, this is such a close matchup on paper, and this shows you why. The subtraction of Daryl and addition of 8-bit was certainly something that we were maybe questioning at the beginning, but I think in general, you still have the Penny who's able to sit back. She got so much value out of her turret that game, Corey did.
Yes.
So many shots from that turret changing things around, and then there towards the end, just a little bit of extra poke where a Daryl can't quite move forward and try to fight. They were able to kite backwards on the Nova Esports side, find some shots towards the middle, and win those engagements.
It's so interesting, man. Portal and Tyrant Star played the same brawler, almost entirely different. It felt like that game, whereas Portal was more about controlling mid with that damage amp. Tyrant Star was almost all on the defense. It looks like it will still be the Daryl, Piper, and the 8-bit on the side of Space Station Gaming. Corey staying on this penny again, so no more adjustments. Both teams happy with the drafts at this point.
And this is what you have to look at. Bobby just can't get involved. It's too much of a long-range fight happening right now that he just has to sit in this bush until a fight suddenly starts to break out. He's going to be able to weave in, maybe try to find some kills, but he's not in a good spot.
Well, Bobby did this last game, too, and he ended up having to hug that corner, and OG had to trade out up top. I think it was with Portal, and that trade that they had for the First Bloods gave Bobby time to regen and make a push, and in he'll go. Corey went up aggressively to set down the turret, and now Bobby's going to take that one out. That ends up being a 2-for-1, but Portal drops the damage amp, moves in, and looks for a good bit of damage of his own. They 12% onto the actual safe as a result, but OG free to fire in some shots here on Piper.
Now, here's an interesting thing to look at. Portal is running extra life on 8-bit. You know, normally, sometimes, I would say, maybe it's 50-50. We don't have a lot of data points on 8-bit yet to really kind of wrestle down which is more popular. But running extra life only works once a game, gets the free revive there in the middle, which is why I think things were not quite steamrolling entirely in SSG's favor this time around. Bobby, though, finds himself the flank, and he's going to get some safe damage.
Bobby should not only be able to get safe damage, but even be able to tank out this damage amp. Now, he'll let OG do that, and now he can get in close the barrel stuff with that Daryl damage. But even still, Space Station not coming out favorably here in this trade. They do finally actually get a good bit of damage off, but still, it's Nova Esports with a healthier safe at this point as Shadow Jutsu drops the super to reposition.
Tyrant Stars has been playing this defensive 8-bit throughout most of this game. Portal has been as well, but free to get a little bit more aggressive. That's a clean 3-sweep here for SSG. They look to move forward and even up this safe count.
And remember, they don't have to make this push just yet. They've got this mid control, and that's what they need. They only need to push in and get another 7% off this safe to find the win. But they actually lose Tyrant Star. That can make things much harder as Bobby makes the last second push. He does find the kill into Corey, but Portal and Shadow Jutsu can move in to try and trade. That's why the Piper Super's coming out. It's 42-33, and there's no more damage happening on the Nova Esports safe. Space Station Gaming can't quite grab it. It's Nova that come out on top.
I mean, the thought was there for Bobby. He was in the right spot, but they just weren't able to trade effectively in the middle of the map there. Literally just a numbers game at that point. You had two people attacking the SSG safe to Bobby alone attacking the other base, and the trades just were not in SSG's favor. So after a huge start, they go up 1-0 in this one. They falter for the last two, and Nova make a big statement.
And I wonder how much that 8-bit star power does kind of come into factor here, because that initial push from Space Station, I think, would have been devastating for Nova Esports, but instead they get one more extra swing out from this 8-bit that slows down that push. And just like that, we're going to be moving on to Siege, with Nova Esports being the one that came away with that first set victory.
And again, this is what we saw earlier in the quarterfinals. Same thing here, Siege on Junk Park. Very similar. Tick being banned out comes to mind here because this is one of his more favorable maps. The spread kind of AoE control that he provides works so well on Junk Park. We're not going to get to see it, so what you plug in place of that Tick is kind of where that's my question mark into this set. I think, you know, Barley is certainly a mainstay in these game modes. I think you'll be fine with having him as your thrower instead of a Tick. Not a big loss, but definitely different play style-wise, where you can't just toss out 10 mines out onto the ground and force the enemy team elsewhere.
Well, it's not just Tick that's missing from this one, too. Gene also thought of as very good into Siege as well, because you can reposition those Siege bots with the magic hand if need be. So there'll be a lot of mainstays on Siege that won't be allowed this time. I imagine we'll still be seeing BBs and the likes here on this one to try and make up for that. BB can still push back with that super as well to try and buy her team a little bit more time. But as you said, that mid battle, particularly whoever's lining up on the back end of that grass, very likely throwing in damage is going to be critical for that control.
And this is I mean, as mid control is important on any map, this one is in just the game mode in general. It's so important. The frontline engagements, as you were pointing out, whether it's BB, whether it's Bull in this case, we are getting a couple BBs. Bobby on the Bull as well. Big difference there. He'll be able to break down the wall, open up that front environment, so the Siege bot can just make its way straight through instead of walking around, which is usually a pretty big choke point here. BB definitely good in this game mode. You can knock back the siege bot, buy yourself a little time, but early mid control goes the way of SSG.
Shadow Jutsu winning the fight up against Tyrant Star on the left-hand side means they've got a little bit of extra control, and that means Portal can step up here onto Bobby. Corey cleans that kill up, and just like that, the siege bot actually comes up from Space Station Gaming, despite, I would have said, Nova Esports winning the fight, and they get a pretty critical kill on the back end. Shadow Jutsu drops. Corey and Portal both low as well, but they can't quite get in position for a lot of damage onto the actual turret, so it doesn't hurt Nova Esports that bad.
And they're actually in a pretty good spot here with 2 bolts on their side. Mid control going back to SSG. That tends to happen a lot. You lose the siege bot, you're back defending, and the enemy team is able to move forward into mid. Tyrant Star, big engagement there, cleaning up Shadow Jutsu. All down to Portal now, only able to get 1 bolt away, but 10 seconds left. 2 bolt deficit here for SSG.
Space Station once again win the fight, or rather, it's the opposite. Nova won that first fight, but Space Station that summoned. This time, Space Station win the fight.
Wow,
but maybe it's Nova. They're near a tie, but the 5th one comes in for Space Station right on the back end, so they'll have 1 more siege bot, and they've already used the damage amp there from Corey, who just dropped.
Bobby has his super ready to charge on in there. Not going to use it to segue the siege bot in. They're just going to let it punch away a little bit, realizing that not worth going in, trying to find any backup damage. Let's just retake control of this mid, poke them out a little bit. Corey and Portal are not able to move forward really at all. And they're going to be able to tie up this bolt deficit very, very quickly here. Leave it to the last siege. Don't even give Nova a chance to fight back.
And it is one thing to consider that Space Station's team is high committal if they want to get in and do turret damage. It's not like a Barley who can just kind of drop the super and leave. But if you're going to have bolt control like this, you don't need low committal damage. You can just whittle them down slowly. They should be able to get the last siege on this one and basically lock things up with this 12-level siege bot.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't even matter really how much the siege bot does unless Shadow Jutsu finds some way to make a miracle play. They have 100% left on their side of things, so well controlled there towards the mid for SSG. They are going to end up destroying the base anyway, but definitely well played. The 8-bit kind of bull trade out is where my eyes go in this one. Having that extra close range support, that engagement was happening a good bit on that right-hand side, where Bull was just able to win time and time again, and that bought so much space for SSG.
I think so too. I don't know that Corey was able to get quite enough out of this 8-bit here for it to work from that match, though of course you'll never hear me speaking against picking 8-bit for your team. But here's the thing that might be a bit of a problem for Space Station. This is not analysis. Is that I think they won game 1 on the first set, right? And then they dropped 2 in a row. So if this is anything like that, then now we'll see the Nova Esports adaptation, and they'll just grab 2 in a row for the win. Obviously, not hard analysis there.
If there is any team that you can't count out, it's certainly Nova Esports. And, you know, like you said, the heavy-hitting analysis of Game 1, they win 2 straight, take that one, look to do the same here on Siege. So if you're looking at maybe some Brawl swaps, maybe you change up the 8-bit, I think it's good, as you said. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have extra damage, but it was just kind of bad into the Bull. Of course, you don't know what the enemy team is picking. But just such a lack of, well, Brawl in that right-hand side. He was kind of free and clear to just fight his way through.
Right.
Extra damage, extra tankiness, all good things for Space Station.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's not so much a composition thing that you change up, but maybe where they lane up and try and get yourself better matchups this next time coming in if you're on the side of Nova Esports. And like I said, they're clearly capable of making those kinds of adjustments to put themselves into a better spot. So let's see if that's the case, as it looks like Space Station aren't changing much.
Space Station I don't think Nova did either. No, they're sticking with the 8-bit. Yeah, again, it wasn't bad. I think the matchups just weren't really ideal for the 8-bit. Going to play behind Shadow Jutsu this time around for a little bit of extra support, but Bobby just runs him down one more time.
And I think OG snuck in a good shot there as well. That sets up for a favorable trade, but Shadow Jutsu gets one. One comes out from Corey, too. They find 3 in a row and open up for their first siege bot. Now, can they get in to try and find some damage? Corey's going to be quite slow on this 8-bit if he wants to try and make it in there.
Tyrant Stars knocking it back before it even gets through. Extra life from Corey really bought Nova Esports a lot of time there. They found the first pick onto the 8-bit as the siege bot begins to swing away. Won't end the game here. But mid-control back to Nova. Much better showing for 8-bit this time around.
Yeah, we didn't see this much damage until the final siege, right, last time. So this is good for Nova Esports to start things off well. Shadow Jutsu finds Bobby on the right-hand side, and they still maintain a good deal of bolt control as well. 6-0. Is this the same Space Station we were watching last game?
It is technically the same players, but seemingly a very different team. They're going to get a nice, potentially level 9 siege bot here for Nova, and they were able to do 44% with a lesser siege bot. You can only assume good things for them as this potentially final siege begins.
This has been dominant so far here from Nova. Now they're going to move in with their level 9 siege bot. Good shot from Tyrant Star that cuts all of the damage, but Shadow Jutsu finds a good BB super and gets in close. The bounce back's enough, and this match is over. We got it all tied up here as Nova Esports bring it to 1-1.
I think SSG just need to stop winning the first game.
Yeah.
Just let Nova win game number 1.
I was trying to make a joke with that one, but maybe it's the case, right? Yeah. They win that first one, Nova makes the adaptation.
They don't swap anything on Nova's side. They stick with the 8-bit, and it looked a lot better this time. And what you were saying definitely rings true in that it's not so much a composition thing, just the way it was matching up.
Yeah,
too often straight into the bull, right, and playing behind Shadow Jutsu for a lot of the game. Kind of playing that traditional front line, back line kind of composition that you see in other games. And well played from Nova. So if you're going into it again, I don't know if you change anything.
I don't think so either. Both these teams, I think, can go back in and just try and play the matchup a little bit better. That last bounce of the BB Super was nuts, by the way. Kind of coming back up towards that turret to get one more hit on it. I mean, I think either way, Nova Esports were very far ahead in terms of bulk control and damage of the actual turrets. But still, a perhaps fortuitous bounce, one might call that one, as we're going into our third round here on Siege. Let's kick it off. It does not appear that there have been any brawler changes.
Same for Space Station, same for Nova. They're going to look to do the same as the last game if you're Nova Esports. One more will put you up 2-0 here in the quarterfinals, as close as it's been. You're in a good spot. Bobby winning that first engagement over Corey on the right-hand side. Extra life is going to keep 8-bit in the middle, and it's so valuable. It gives you literally an extra chance. SSG grabbed the first couple of bolts, but with 3 bolts for the next siege, Nova Esports looking to defend.
That was a really strong opening push. Tyrant Star won his matchup with Shadow Jutsu and wins it here yet again. There's the BB Super coming through for decent damage with the Siege bot. HP is gone. Bobby tanks for a little while longer, finds a kill and some good return damage, and that means the Space Station can maintain mid-control, though they are going to come in with a bit of a bolt deficit.
3-1 to be exact, but OG is just zoning everybody out.
Tyrant
Star wins that engagement as well. Now you're fighting into a 3 versus 2 if you're Nova Esports, clearing out a little bit of your own space, to be honest with you there. 7 seconds left. SSG are going to get themselves another siege bot and a chance to end.
Another win from Tyrant Star. He's played the left side of this map so well here so far. The only problem now for Space Station is the other, something a siege bot, but Nova Esports have so much mid control, they can get in good damage early. You see the BB Super push back, but OG pops him with the shots. Corey now low as well, and suddenly Space Station are barreling in onto this turret siege bot, putting in damage as well. 16% is not going to be quite enough. There's the Piper Super to try and help, and 1% still standing. They might just be able to walk in and have OG shoot it from here.
Yeah, if you're Nova Esports, you're not going to feel comfortable at all for the rest of this game.
Super.
Last siege could seal things up, but if Bobby gets that supercharge, if OG moves just a little bit further forward, the BB bubble is just going to do it on its own. There's no way, in my opinion, that Nova, there are too many potential long-range shots getting enough of it done in that second siege. I was interested that teams kind of forewent the throwers entirely. We're so used to seeing Tick on that map. We just kind of did away with them. Piper, though, so valuable on this one. Typically longer, more clear sight lines. The way OG was able to control this mid throughout the game, poke out Nova just trying to fight from respawning back in their base. So effective for SSG. They tie up this series.
And I want to give a lot of credit to Tyrant Star for that one on the left-hand side, or up against Shadow Jutsu in that BB matchup, man. Just came out on top 3-4 times in a row, and that opened up for then the 3v2s elsewhere on the map in their favor. And I mean, we said this is going to be close between these two teams coming in here, right? And so far, that's been exactly correct. We move into Bounty set number 3, tied 1-1 between these two squads.
It's almost unfair one of the two of them is, at least, I mean, depending on how the qualifications go, and there is a world where neither of the two of them end up qualifying to the regional finals, depending on how semifinals go. It's almost unfair, though, that one of the two of them has to go home at the end of this set as we jump into Snake Prairie. A lot of fun looking towards this one. Bo, of course, the mainstay of this map, gives you a little extra vision while within a bush passively, and it's been a different flow on Snake Prairie from what I'm used to, at least. Normally, It's these big roundabout fights, both teams just looking for one another, but it's
Right.
been a lot more pokey than I'm used to. The meta for this map, at least, has somewhat shifted towards maybe you have a Piper, a little extra damage while you're in a bush, maybe some Brock. They are going to have the Piper. Poco, but on the opposite side, they forego the Piper for an 8-bit, so really leaning into the 8-bit meta is Nova.
Yeah, but they've had multiple players on it. Shadow Jutsu's on it this time. Corey was on it last time. I think it might even have been Portal on set 1, so clearly they can bounce this 8-bit around and everyone can play it well. As Tyrant Star and Bobby move up into a ton of damage, but it's OG again who find the snipes and able to take down the immobile 8-bit early on. Tyrant Star finds another one onto Portal, and all of a sudden things are out of control now for Nova Esports. Another big shot from the Poco and from OG, and suddenly it's 6-1, and they're going to clear out the bushes on the way out and drop the bow mines on left.
And watch out for Portal. Going to catch one of them down to 3k health, but he's going to stay alive. Range discrepancy is something I look at here. I mean, 8-bit has some good range, but these shots from OG are just cleaving everyone down to like half health while hitting one of them. You don't have a lot of that if you're Nova, and the follow-up has been great. OG sits back, hits a shot, and then SSG are in a perfect spot to take advantage of that. 50 seconds left, 5-star advantage for them. I do like seeing some Poco here. Screeching Solo does a good bit of damage. This is where Nova are looking to fight, though. It's not going to last very long.
Not going to get much at all out of that 8-bit super, as they're forced to fight out in the open with their cards face up. That's made it so easy, for Space Station to play defensively now as the bow super clears out a little bit more. But they recognize where Portal is. Those shots reveal that he's lurking in the underbrush. OG moves up and shoots back down in the Shadow Jutsu. Corey now dropping as well, and they can collapse onto Portal for one more pick, 12-1. This one feeling very much out of reach now for Nova.
OG is absolutely shredding Nova Esports right now. Again, there's so much follow-up from Space Station as we approach 5 seconds left. No chance Nova finds themselves 13 stars, I don't think, mathematically, unless you killed off literally everyone in those final moments. Wouldn't have worked out to being a 17-star difference. The Piper, big difference maker in this one, you know, bow on both sides. But the Piper for 8-bit trade is kind of what we've seen, where they really like this 8-bit. Last time it was instead of a bull, I believe.
And watch Shadow Jutsu here. He's the one that gets poked out by OG. Yeah. I know there's a big fights happening on the right-hand side, but he steps in that center field a little bit, and OG does not miss. 3 in a row. I imagine he's got that extra damage coming through from the ambush, and he's putting in the hurt.
Yes. And it's a perfect. It literally is the best map for ambush, because you're hard pressed to find yourself not in a bush at some point throughout that game. And I really like it. On paper, you're thinking, well, you can't see anything. Why pick a sniper? In reality, the mobility and the vision, you kind of send your bow forward, grant your team that vision, and OG is good enough that in those split seconds, he's able to find the shots, cleave out some good damage, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Space Station Gamer are going to be coming back in with the same composition, but Shadow Jutsu this time, instead of the 8-bit, is going to be on the Piper as well, so they agreed with your assessment that OG was getting too much work done. Portal just man modes in and takes the neutral star, so an albeit small lead in favor of Nova.
One kill will tilt that, though, if Space Station are able to find it. And look what the addition of a Piper does. Tyrant Star, where he was playing so aggressively last game moving forward, has not been able to do so. Shadow Jutsu has basically poked him back from the front lines, basically on cooldown throughout this game so far, clearing out a little of that right-hand bush over there. Still a 1-star lead here for Nova, and Tyrant Star yet again forced back.
Have to play this one a lot more defensively than what they're used to. Shadow Jutsu looking for some shots, but OG hits them again. My man does not miss, and Shadow Jutsu goes down just like that. It's Space Station playing with the lead, and they don't even have to clear the right side bush this time. Nova did it for them when they were the ones with the lead. OG will do on the left-hand side, though, with the Piper Super, but Corey is going to push in, gets answered back by Bobby. A little bit too much this time from the Poco.
Poco is so good. Yes. Just watching him is just so much fun. I love the big AoE abilities, whether it's Tara with her super, but Poco there, Bobby absolutely saving the rest of SSG when Nova's trying to aggress, gives his team a little bit of healing and does some damage to top it all off. I think Poco's in a great spot, a great pickup here, absolutely, for both teams. Certainly makes some sense to me. 25 seconds left, 3-star lead.
And I think Nova had the right idea, right? You want to punish the Piper on the back end of the super, but Bobby just had a different idea. Portal moves in man mode to take down OG. Here's the super out from Piper as well, as they've actually evened up this bounty to 4-4. And I think both teams might just say, let's just do this one again. There's no reason to go out there and potentially throw and give the other team a lead.
Yeah, Nova's just going to back off because they're worse for wear. I mean, Space Station were looking to get aggressive because worst case scenario you lose, and now we're tied up on bounty. Nova literally would have lost the entire game mode if they had moved too far forward and died out there. So smart of them to peel backwards. 4 for 4 on the back end of an 18-1 deficit. But the addition of Piper for Nova Esports, such a difference maker this time around, and I expect to see more of that. I think it's kind of that conversation of we don't want to be the team without the Piper.
Right.
And this time around, they look a little bit better on bounty.
Saw what that looks like when you're the team without the Piper back in game number 1. But you talked about it at the beginning, and I think you almost undersold how important it was that the Bows couldn't be as aggressive this time because they had to worry about the Pipers on both sides. But the difference was Portal just kind of man-moded there at the end, right? He rushes in, and they're able to find that final pick that essentially ties it up for them in terms of those star counts. They were at 4-4 at the end. That's why we got that draw. So we're going to be running it back, ladies and gentlemen, to try and see if we can find ourselves a winner. Remember, Nova can still grab a win and tie it up and bring us to yet another match here on Snake Prairie.
Yeah, potentially. And I look at Poco again, one of the biggest AoE cones in the game. Great here on Snake Prairie, not only to save your teammates, but get some good cleave damage. We're running it back one more time. Same composition, same teams. A little bit of a flip-flop here, though. They send Tyrant Star to the right. That's a Poco versus Bow matchup.
Oh.
Forced way back our Nova.
And this time, OG was slightly out of range. The aim was still there, obviously, but Portal just couldn't quite be hit by that one from how far back the Piper was. So he gets away with the aggressive neutral star grab this time. And you heard Nick talking about it when he was up here, earlier on, about how that neutral star is relatively safe to go for because you yourself are not that valuable if you're traded out. So no problem with going for that.
They look to move forward here. Some mines being displaced in the back there. That's something to look at as well. That's going to force Shadow Jutsu forward. Good dodging. Not the easiest things to dodge out. Shadow Jutsu makes quick work of that. Still the 1-star lead, though, for Nova. They've been aggressive in getting that first star. More so than other maps, it's definitely more important on Snake Prairie to get that first star because you can kind of sit back and hide. Now SSG are the ones who have to put themselves in maybe an awkward spot and move themselves forward.
Ori did a good job, I think, revealing himself a bit. Now he could be anywhere. Just showed again on the right-hand side then with that attack. Tyrant Star moves forward to try and get a little bit of poke in onto Portal, but yet again, this one's going to be slow played. I think SSG will probably wait for a bit of an all-in attempt towards the end and soften them up the best they can. There are the mines, forcing out the Piper Super from Shadow Jutsu, making them all the more vulnerable. Big shot from OG, 44 HP, too easy to survive that.
Talk about the micro play. If he was on the mine, that would have been death, but 44 HP. Stays alive, 15 seconds remaining. SSG looking for one kill to get themselves back in this game.
Bobby's going to move in and start looking for the trades out with Corey, but he does not find them. He's very close. At the last minute, Bobby gets it done. OG punishes Portal, who steps forward as well. And these all kills are just gravy at this point. Space Station Gaming are the ones that take Snake Prairie.
Talk about slow playing it. They are on the back foot the entire game, and what an important Poco 1v1.
Man, who didn't expect the Poco dive?
Yeah, right. You don't. You never expect the Poco dive, and they caught him off guard there towards the end. Nobody really from Nova rotating, and this is a smart play. This right here, I mean, they do start to move over, but they realize that OG is somewhere in those bushes, whether it's towards the left, likely to the right. But going to try to help their teammate put them in a bad spot, and they were able to get sniped out.
But the more I think about it, the more that's genius, right? Because you want Bobby up there because that cone is the most limited range. Then you have OG waiting and the bow waiting as well to punish them on the rotation in. I do actually think that was kind of galaxy brain on the brain thrown there for Space Station Gaming, as they are now up 2-1 as they move into Gem Grab and Spring Trap, a busy map if I've ever seen one. Platforms for you to move back and forth with, tons of grass to try and sneak around in as well, and obstacles that need to be cleared. This is a big one to potentially decide between Nova and Space Station.
This is a big one to be missing Gene on. I mean, this is a Gene map if I've ever seen one. But similarly to some of the other spirally maps, you know, technically your grass extends around to that middle side, and then their grass, of course, also extends around to that middle side. So the frontliners definitely important here in controlling that mid, but throwers as well. It's been an off set for throwers per se. We haven't seen you know, the overwhelming Barleys or anything like that really throughout the day. But a map like this where it's very busy, as you put it, there's lots in your way, not too many direct lines of sight depending on where you choose to fight from. Really left to right, this is a map where technically there is some verticality right up through the middle there, but shooting left to right from one side of that curved bush into the other side of the curved bush is where a lot of those engagements take place.
Yes, agreed. This map, definitely a good differentiator, I think, right?
Yeah.
To come in for set 4 for either Nova Esports to earn that set 5, or for Space Station to be able to grab this win here now and move on to the semis, where they will at the very least have a shot at making it either by winning semis or by trying to win that third place matchup. So that's what makes this one so important, not just this entire match, but this set in particular here on Gym Grab.
And, you know, Brock kind of comes to mind for me right here. He's kind of got that dynamic of, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to overextend on something that certainly is never going to get played, but I think there's some merit to it. Not going to get picked up this time. Penny sort of along the same line of thought. You get the long-range pokiness, the turret as well. Does some good range. You already see, looking for that left-hand side control is Corey, notably a BB instead of the 8-bit for them.
Yes, that's a big difference of opinion, isn't it? Which one they're going to be going
instead
with.
of the Penny.
Yes, the Penny and the BB. I mean, they play so differently, and already Bobby using it aggressively to zone everyone away. Remember, this is Gym Grab. Bobby's life matters little. It's more about this center control, and Tyrant Star already with 5 gyms to his name. OG does end up getting traded out by Portal, but I mean, as I said, with that extra life, OG comes back, finds one more kill, and Tyrant Star already on 7.
You bring up mid control, they got it in spades right now. The extra life buys them so much more time. Already at 8 gems. I'm not sure Nova found a single kill technically with the extra life. They haven't. Only need one more gem to start this one off. You get Bobby on a couple. OG holding down this mid-range so well.
This has just been a dominant showing so far from Space Station. Now, with 10 gyms, the countdown begins, and Corey trying to find the lines of sight. BB Super doesn't quite get what he was going for, but I like the idea. Most important life is Tyrant Stars. They drop in the bow mines. 3 seconds to go, they're not enough. They find the kill. Space Station grab it, and very nearly moving on over Nova Esports. Only one more game away.
They're really starting to run away with this one. I mean, at the beginning of the set, it was just don't win game 1. Apparently they can come back after game 1. But they've gotten that off their shoulder, win the last one 2-0 with a remake in the middle for a total of 3, and then take this one right off the bat. The big difference maker, honestly, in this one, you had boosted booster for Nova, and then extra life for Space Station Gaming. And you can see their giant ring, giant circle for Shadow Jutsu. But it gets deleted so fast. Basically, the moment it would get tossed out, Space Station Gaming, if they were in a favorable spot, would just delete Shadow Jutsu's damage amplification. So having that for his super just kind of went by the wayside, almost had no impact. Sure, it reaches around some more corners. Your team can play a little bit more spread from you. But the extra life really is where my focus goes. Winning that mid, you can play more aggressively, play a little bit more forward. You die once, you immediately respawn. It only works once. It would be a little bit broken if it worked every single time.
It's pretty good doing it just once, too. I mean, I want to give a lot of credit to Bobby on this one, because the reason OG is able to place the aggressive amp down is because Bobby goes in and pushes 2 out at the beginning. Tyrant Star had 5 gems before the extra life even came into the factor, or into the equation, and that's what that BB did as opposed to the Penny on the other side, which did almost nothing. And I think that we're going to see that reflected this time. There won't be such a frontline deficit, I imagine, for Nova Esports going into Gym Grab that second time around.
No, you're right. Absolutely opening the doors. I'd be remiss, or we'd be remiss if that wasn't mentioned, because it was a 2v1 at the beginning, and BB is speedy enough if you have those 3 fully charged attacks ready to go, and free and clear to move forward. 8-bit is the opposite, very, very slow, so you have a BB charging at you, and you have to find a way to backpedal. It just doesn't work out. Opting for the same exact composition here.
Ah, look, the BB. Mirrored. Good call, by the way.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody's listening to Finch.
Yeah, they understood how impactful Bobby was last time, and look how different the pace of the game is already. This time, last game, Bobby was already in the back line, zoning away all of Nova Esports. This time, he's got to play much more careful, losing the matchup against Corey on the left-hand side, but so does Shadow Jutsu to OG on the 8-bit to mirror it. But the one controlling center is Tyrant Star, grabbing 3 gems already. Portal incredibly low, having to heal up for a while, licking his wounds.
Corey opting for extra life this time around, pops right back in. That one's going to get used right here. OG, don't think he's been revived just yet. You'll be happy, I think, to have those gems on Tyrant Star. I mean, he's able to kind of play around these boxes right here, find some good poke. Big engagement on the left-hand side here. Corey wins that one and is now way in behind Space Station Gaming.
Wins it largely without the super 2. That's brutal for Bobby on that left-hand side. That one drops. Shadow Jutsu returns the favor by winning the BB into the 8-bit matchup on the right-hand side, and they find the kill into Portal from OG, so they actually buy Space Station not just a ton of time, but into the countdown. What a turnaround from OG for being able to find that kill, and this could be it for the quarterfinals, potentially. Shadow Jutsu and Corey have to find some way in with 10 seconds left, and Bobby can zone all day long. Portal desperately needs some shots on the right-hand side as OG comes down low. Whoa. There's the super from Shadow Jutsu, and that slows things down. No countdown just yet.
They're able to trade out. Countdown is going to re-begin. Gems still on Space Station's side. Now they're only on one person. The other 2 members of SSG can get forward in zone.
Shadow Jutsu has to find his way in on this BB, but Bobby is on full zoning duty. They found 2 kills, make that 3, and that's going to do it for Space Station Gaming over Nova Esports 3-1.
Wow, what a convincing performance from them. I mean, hats off to Nova for moving that far forward, but Space Station Gaming, it's almost an outclass. I mean, it's 3-1, so it was very, very close at the end of the day. But just control. You look at the scoreboard down at the bottom, kind of close at the beginning, but then 2-0, 2-0 to round things out. Good control here. They do make the pivot towards the BB, which, again, I think by and large is a good change. But just more effective trades. On the left-hand side there, Corey against Shadow Jutsu, or OG, throughout most of the game. And just playing a little bit better there for Space Station Gaming. The gems getting dropped towards the end, of course, you want to win it on that first cooldown, or countdown. But they all then went on to the bow, and leaves the other 2 to move forward and find themselves some kills. So moving on to the semifinals, or SSG.
Omen Elite and Skirt still playing it out in the quarterfinals, but everyone else is there. Everything is fine. I assume that's 9 Gaming, IX Gaming up at the top there. They were able to grab it up against the underdogs earlier on as well. So we have most of our semifinalists here just still waiting for the results from that Omen Elite Skirts matchup. But man, I wonder what happened in that last match we were watching to Portal, because he gets blown up and drops a ton of gems under the pressure from 8-bit, who was able to kind of make a flanking maneuver up to the top. That was a big deal. That also closed that one out as well for him.
Yeah, big swaps there, and that's what I mean. Sometimes these middle game trades and the ebb and flow of a game like Brawl Stars, one trade effectively changes the tide of an entire game. You can then move forward, and as long as you're just poking and playing safe, you control the rest of the map, and that's all SSG had to do.
Yeah, if it's that gem, the one that's holding the gems that you end up trading out with, then absolutely it can be on gem grab, so that was a big deal. We're going to be moving into the North American semifinals on the back end of this break, so do not go anywhere. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back, everybody, to the North American Brawl Stars Open. We're in the semifinals now. We're going to stay on board with Space Station Gaming. They're going to be going up against IX on the opposite side. We gave Finch the boot. I'm still here, joined by Kresnik this time around. Fun one to watch. I was talking to Finch about how unfortunate it was that one of those two teams had to go home. But Space Station Gaming, they look like a powerhouse here, and now now you're in the semifinals. You're fighting for a seed in the regional finals here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's really important. And SSG finally being able to make it here. I think they had some bad bracket luck in the previous weeks. I think they always met the winner, or at least someone who made it to the final. But finally here, and am I allowed to call them the boys because of my previous?
Sure.
I used to be part of Space Station Gaming. Yeah, I was a coach for one of their teams, and good to see the org doing well. Great group of guys. And
any bias? There's some bias here for sure.
I didn't wear my jersey today, just to be
thank God. Spike and Tick being banned out here. Gene on the table. That was a big difference maker in the last set, I would say. 8-bit for one thing playing a role, but to look at Gene specifically, the lack of Gene on a lot of those maps and in a lot of those game modes was pretty noticeable. Of course, neither team can play him. It's not like you're banning him away just from the other side. Another area where he might be effective is Siege. Nuts and Bolts, Brawl Ball, Heist, and then Bounty set 4 if necessary. But like I said, starting off set number 1 with some Siege.
Yeah, we're going to definitely see some. This is, again, the slower of the objective game modes because of that Nuts and Bolts ground in the middle. So we'll definitely see some tanks to be able to collapse, but probably a thrower or two just to kind of poke out, lock down those chokes. No Tick, which we would have seen for sure if he was on the board, but probably a Barley, I think, is the closest thing. Maybe someone's going to spice it up with the Dynamite, but...
poor Dynamite. Yes, I love Dynamite. We just haven't seen maybe any of him.
I think he's just the easiest to avoid.
Yeah, that's true.
And when it comes down to consistency, you want the throwers that are always going to be connecting those shots.
Right.
Whereas you could say, I'm a nuts Dynamite, but if their movement's good.
If they move left to right slightly faster, then they'll be in a good spot. Yeah,
he's got
Dynamite,
that mobility, the wall jump.
Very, very dependent on hitting your dynamites and not easy to do. Like I said, jumping back on board with Space Station Gaming. IX on the opposite side for a chance to play in the regional finals here in a couple of weeks and a chance to play in the finals here today. So a big one to look at. First Bolt going the way of IX.
Yeah, they actually do. SSG do have Gene on board, so might see some slow poking here until he gets the magic hand up, and he already has it up, so no brush to hide in really for them if they want to be this aggressive. Bobby could find something, but OG can't get out. Magic hand does get the pull into the tower, but Bobby actually gets traded too. IX had total control of the middle, and their siege bot's rolling in, level 3.
And they have some bolts on the back end of it as well, so they're going to be at a 2-1 advantage if the siege bot is not enough to get it done. Stepping in, Chepo just a little bit too soon. Siegebot getting absolutely melted down a couple punches in. And IX Gaming are just going to back themselves off, get themselves regrouped for one more mid. You get 9% on the Siege. Not worth diving in and losing mid control the next time around.
Yeah, for sure. And they have the advantage, so as long as they control this mid the whole time and never let SSG get that step onto their into their turret range, they can keep it. Good Magic Hand catches out the Poco of I'm So Strong. Now, it still ends up being a 2-for-2 because of the trade on the right side, but SSG have the number advantage, but not the bolt advantage. Slash trades in one more too, so now this is going to be another Siegebot coming in for IX.
Yeah, wow, and this one's going to be a level 7. Certainly big, marching its way towards the space station base. You're going to have BB able to do that, knock back the Siegebot a little bit as you try to poke it down. A little bit healthy, you can take some damage from the Siegebot if you really need to try to cleave things out. But they're not dealing with the members of IX just yet. Great pull there from Bobby. Keeps the Siegebot just out of range, but so much damage on the opposite side. Still pouring in to the base of Space Station Gaming. They're able to stall this one out. They're missing 76% of their base.
They deny the Siegebot damage, but the rest of the damage from everybody else is still coming in. They did an amazing job peeling them off with the home run knockback, with the tanking from the damage reduction from the bull, but just wasn't enough. Now they have to win this siege. They have a huge advantage here, but honestly, IX could just dive in if they get too distracted with the Siegebot. They might have the damage to end it if SSG gets too distracted.
They're going to have to make that decision right now. Level 9 Siegebot, you pull in Slash. That's a big one. You get rid of him. You mitigate a lot of that opportunity for them to dive into your base now. Siegebot rolling forward. You only have 2 members left alive for IX Gaming. 10 seconds left. OG gets so aggressive here, but he's going to drop down. Siegebot nowhere close. This one's going to get sealed up. And IX Gaming looking good here in the first round of Siege.
That was actually huge on the back of Chepo. He threw his BB bubble.
Yep.
It bounced from the bottom of the map, came back up, and killed somebody.
The perfect.
It killed Tyrant.
Calculated.
He couldn't go in to home run them away from the bot to get room. That was an amazing BB shot by him, and honestly, it bought them way more room than they would have gotten otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the sieges, you win 2 out of 3. You defend successfully against the level 9 towards the end. That's just control through and through from IX Gaming. Maybe a bit unfortunate. Bobby steps in right as aggro changes from the Siege bot back to him. But nonetheless, IX Gaming take the first Siege. Looking to do it one more time to take set number 1, move on to Brawl Ball. You cannot count out SSG, not just yet. Gene is a thing to look at here. You know, obviously only on the Space Station Gaming side of things. There were some good pulls. They kind of lacked a little bit of that skirmish in the middle.
I think there's just not enough good targets for the Magic Hand.
Right.
I mean, BB Bull Poco, if he has the solo up, he's probably going to get away or at least trade you. I mean, he can attack, cancel attack with the Screeching Soul.
Yeah, I don't want to pull a bull towards me.
Yeah, you don't want to pull no one on that team you want closer to you. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them swapping out the Gene. Maybe they can stick with it if they think that pulling him into the turret range is going to be enough. Right. But I think the last time he got a pull into the turret range, it didn't even turn into a kill. But Bobby's confident. He's going to keep sticking with it.
I mean, a lot of it as well, if you have that super up when you're trying to defend, you can just pull the Siege bot out of range. So that's at least worth something.
And it saved a lot of room for them before, but they still went all the way down to 24% even with that.
I think very situationally dependent on how effective it is. You get a Piper for I'm So Strong for IX Gaming. First couple of bolts go over to Space Station Gaming. 3 seconds left. They might be able to get one more in, but it's just going to be a level 2. And the BB winning the engagement on the front line against I'm So Strong Chepo. That's his bubble, so he's not going to die at the hands of that one. Level 2 Siege bot for Space Station as they start to move forward. Slash uses the super just to break some of that range. OG on the Rosa this time around, trying to find some damage in there. They're just going to poke out the safe, back themselves off, and retake control of the mid.
The one Gene shot might end up making a difference depending on how well they hold this. I'm So Strong's Piper, I kind of do like the switch up, especially since he's blowing up this cover really early, and he's safe in his turret range considering the low range in general across SSG. So he could just stay here by his turret and just spam the whole time. His team's losing the mid, so they definitely need to. He definitely needs to be connecting these shots a little bit more, as tanks need to buy him a little bit more space. But for now, it could work as the game goes on.
This is going to be a massive Siege bot for Space Station Gaming. Slash pulls his way in there, gets the 40% threshold for himself, but Siege bot marching. Level 8 for Space Station Gaming. They were able to get 3% away from the IX base last time, and OG finds the first kill as well. Chepo a little bit too far forward. I'm So Strong forces himself back. 79% remaining on the IX base, so just a little bit more poke damage. Space Station hasn't fully dove forward into a lot of these sieges, just poked out, relied on Bobby to get a little bit of damage.
They're playing so slow and tentative. I mean, even the last game, the round they lost on the heist map there, they were so slow. I mean, they had a different composition, but it seems like they're so tentative on their decision making, and at least for now, it's paying off, even in the face of a Piper. The mispositioning, I think, by Chepo to not be able to knock back the Siege bot got them way more than they would have otherwise. And Tyrant goes in, finds a pick on I'm So Strong, so that Piper poke is out of the picture, and they get another Siege bot.
And that's likely going to seal up this game unless IX finds a way to return 20 plus damage in. I think Chepo realizes it as level 8 Siege bot moves forward. Space Station Gaming are going to be able to tie this one up. We're stuck at 1-1, one final Siege to decide who strikes first here in this set. And the composition slightly changing for SSG, but it looked good.
Yeah, the Piper switch up, it was blind by IX. They weren't sure exactly what they were going to do. SSG more or less staying the same, minus the Rosa.
Right.
But I don't think the Piper really worked out in the end. They were expecting more, I think, more defensive play from SSG, and just the ability of the Rosa to get in there and pressure them made it way harder for them.
In that middle area, I mean, if you just look at the way the map is structured, not a lot of clear lines of sight. I mean, Space Station are a team that want to hide behind that, or that composition, I should say, is a composition that wants to sit around behind those walls and then kind of sneak out around the corner, blow you up, and then move right back. Not a lot of opportunity, as you pointed out, for a Piper to really find those lines of sight.
They really tried to set it up, though. I mean, right in the beginning, as soon as they got the Piper Super, she went in and blew up some cover at the mid-map line. So just trying to make it work, but just not the map for it quite yet. We'll see if they swap anything out. They have a Primo and a Gene this time, so definitely more aggressive with their front lines, and they want to be able to get those equalized picks. Although, again, it's a composition where I don't know who I want to pull. If it's going to be the other Gene, though, that's going to be the one you want.
Yeah, Tyrant Star finds the first kill on the back end of a good Magic Hand from Bobby. 2 bolts for IX. It's going to be a tie, it looks like, unless Tyrant Star's able to get that one through, and he doesn't. So a 3-2 advantage coming out of the first round of Siege. 45 seconds now on the clock. This is going to be a huge Siege bot for whoever's able to win it. 5-2 with 30 seconds remaining. You might be climbing 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 if you're able to control this mid as well as they have up to this point. Tyrant Star gets pulled in, not cleaned up just yet. I'm So Strong looking for a flank around the backside. Gets pulled in though, and now you're at a 3 versus 2 disadvantage with 20 seconds left. This is where those bolts are going to start to stack up.
They're going to be at 10, probably 12 maybe by the time that this timer runs out. Great pull actually onto OG. Does just get rid of some of the frontline pressure in the main, but this clock's running down. They're going to need to get every single bolt and then some if they want to be able to get their own siege bot. Bobby pulled in, so that bolt gets denied too, but still only 5 on the board. Now 6 for IX. There's going to be a big siege bot coming in for SSG.
Yeah, it's going to be massive. You got to try to end the game here, though. 7 bolts for IX on the opposite. So there's going to be a lot of damage returning if they're not able to seal things up here. A good pull. Gets Tyrant Star in a great spot. Bobby finds that kill. 2 members of IX Gaming trying to defend. And a level 11 siege bot finds 7% on the base of IX. And on the back end of SSG finding that first trade. That's a disastrous first siege.
Yeah, for sure. They have to be able to win this mid now, though. I mean, IX, even though they're retaking, they still have the bolt advantage because of this. Magic Hand missed by Bobby and caught by Chepo. They might be able to catch Tyrant here before the bolt goes in, but no, last second. They even tried to use the elbow drop to get it, but they couldn't in time. They're still tied, though. If this ends tied, then SSG will still have an advantage.
Ooh,
still tied here, 10-10. Now they have to, IX have to make it in and damage. Yeah, they have to do it with no bot.
I guess BB Bubble is the only thing.
They can elbow drop
or
in,
maybe Gene moving forward here. They got to find a way to poke out 7%. Chepo looking for the pull. He gets it, but nobody's going to be able to get in range. Now you're missing that. Piper elbow drops down. He gets the percentage he needed at the last possible second. IX dives in. They find themselves the damage, and they take the first game mode.
He hooked him towards the turret. He pulled him in with the Magic Hand towards the turret. He had to, I think, just play him by the mid and pull him away from their turret. They gave him in. They put him in too far. The elbow drop. You're immune to the damage during that. So turret damage doesn't matter. Primo was soaking it before, but all he has to do is land and get those punches in.
Wow, tense moments. You not even the game-ending play there to dive in and find the damage. I'm looking at that defense that IX were able to pull off. A level 11 siege bot gets 7% onto the IX base for Space Station Gaming, and that's why they had the chance to dive in there towards the end and win the game. So big defense and then a big game-winning offense for IX.
Yeah, they definitely had the perfect, I think, brawlers to do that, just to face tank that. But now moving on to Brawl Ball, very different game mode. One of the most unique.
I love it.
This map, a lot of angles for trick shots. I mean, there's a lot of walls all over you. If you get a good super line, I think you can get it. And I don't think destruction is it's still going to be important, because anytime when you open up lines of sight for the ball to go into the goal, it's going to be huge. But there's plenty of cheeky angles you can play on if you're trying to get a shot on goal.
Right, and the aggressive frontliners is kind of where you look in this. Rosa certainly has her spot. Primo as well as a mainstay in these Brawl Ball compositions. And you're right, I mean, it's something that you maybe pick it because it's good, and if it happens to have some destruction anyway, then you know, even better. Bull, something like that comes to mind. But Brawl Ball, such a... You want to have your good front line, maybe two in a good composition, then somebody laying back a little bit to do some damage. But I imagine Rosa, Primo, the likes of them.
I think we'll see a lot of Spike, too. I mean,
Spike, absolutely.
The super to be able to slow people down and stop them from going towards the ball, or to stop them from going in to get a shot on goal. The defensive play is so strong. Curveball, very, very difficult to avoid. Spike is really just a huge spam brawler because of that. Able to get a lot of pressure around those corners. Nowhere safe against a curveball.
It's such a unique game mode that you bring up. Brawl Ball is. I mean, everything else, there's some tactic to it, whether it's gem grab or heist or siege. There's kind of the game plan. You can really see compositions making a difference. And Brawl Ball is very much the same. I mean, as funny and quirky as it is, there's definite strategy going into these. To see BB Carl notably rearing his head for Tyrant Star, looking for some poke damage onto IX, who strike first in this set. Could go up 2-0, could book their ticket to the finals with a win here. Chepo on the BB. He has the speed boost. Bobby has a little bit of the DR on his side. Swings away, finds the first blood on I'm So Strong.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of room on the right. Gonna get actually slashed too, so if they move in, Tyrant can't grab the ball during his super, but they managed to get it. Respawn's not in time. Very quick first goal for SSG. A lot of timer on the clock, so if they want to stall this out at a 1-0, it's going to be really tough. I think they definitely need to still try to take it to him and get in there. Elbow drop in from I'm So Strong on the right. Might be able to get Tyrant, but the rest of SSG's pretty healthy, and the Poppin's going to keep OG alive.
Piper for OG. That swaps things around, able to steal the ball, force it in. Now we're tied up at 1 as quick as you got scored on. You turn it around, score on the opposite side. One more goal to decide the first round of Brawl Ball here. Some good poke from OG, Piper being a big difference, as well as the Carl for Space Station Gaming. Bobby already forced back, though, by Chippo.
I find the damage reduction star power an interesting choice, considering you want to move fast. I mean, he still has the speed boost when he's holding the Brawl Ball. All that matters is that home run bar is charged. Great bubble by Bobby to peel himself out, making sure I'm So Strong can't follow up with that. A Tyrant Star going in, actually, but Screeching Solo, too much healing, too much damage for him to deal with during that Super for Carl. So, yeah, but like I was saying, I find it interesting that he's going for that one. I feel like being able to cross the field faster is really important on this mode.
Right. I mean, it helps him win an engagement at the very beginning of not just this round, but the game in general. Slash finds a kill. Now there's only 2 members left of Space Station Gaming to defend, but some good supers from Tyrant Star and Bobby peel off the defense in 42 seconds now. Brawl Ball back in the Space Station base. We'll start to move forward here once the respawns come out. Space Station just send a couple forward to do some zoning.
I love the sound of BB getting a hit. Every time I hear it, I kind of laugh to myself. Just the twing, every single time she hits, and always fun to watch. I personally like watching this character, the big Cleve. She's maybe just because I like playing her. Right. But
she is fun to watch, absolutely. Yeah. And different play styles. I mean, you point out the different star powers here. Bobby doing a little bit more aggressive with the damage reduction. Cheppo, though, playing back and then running forward all at once, trying to catch you off guard. 5 seconds left. Overtime will begin. The map hazards will explode. Space Station Gaming in a great spot here. They have a 3 versus 2. Misses with the elbow drop from I'm So Strong. Tyrant Star spinning away. The save from Slash comes out of base. Saves the ball, but now it's him against the world. They could pass it through the middle. One more shot onto Bobby. The body blocks. He finds the pass. Oh, but I'm So Strong steps in the way, makes the save. What a performance from IX.
I was about to say, SSG's playing towards the late game, but they have a Carl. Once there's nothing up, his axes aren't going to do quite as much. Nothing to bounce off of. Tries to pass to himself, I'm So Strong does, but just gives it to Tyrant. Only 30 seconds remaining, and they're so far back, and SSG's getting the first pick.
This is where OG is going to be happy. A Piper with nothing in the way. He's in range. Oh, it just squeaks its way in there. Unbelievable. There were 3 members of SSG alive. IX only had 1, and they find the overtime goal to win the first Brawl Ball.
They can't. The poppin' comes in just a second too late for that block. It was barely creeping over that goal line, too. It was
I don't think it had the legs any further away. I think that was the maximum range he probably could have scored from there.
And that's a great read on the game state. I mean, knowing that, a shot into an elbow drop is going to get me more than enough room here. Like, you can't even see the goal, I think, at that point on the map. So just knowing that's crazy game sense, I feel.
Very, very close games here. You bring up, you were kind of having a conversation around the BB star power choice. You know, on one hand, you get the speed boost. On the opposite side, a little bit of damage reduction, as long as you have 3 fully charged shots ready to go. Is that a huge difference maker in your mind on the last one, or maybe just a little nitpicky in some of those engagements?
I think it definitely shines towards how SSG, how slowly they've been playing, and how like they were even like, wait for overtime during that last fight, and almost paid off for them, but Poco was too much for them to overcome at the end. I don't think it was that big of a difference. I think it does just play into their styles, but I think it could have enabled them to be a little bit more aggressive, you know, send the BB in for a goal, and just have the ability to out-rotate IX.
Yeah, and they elected to go Piper as well, which is something to look at. Towards the end, in overtime, actually felt a little bit better. I mean, unlimited sightlines, literally nothing in the way of any of those Piper shots, and you could see SSG were winning a lot of those overtime engagements. But here towards the middle, you really have to position yourself properly. You'll be okay towards this middle section, OG will. But he's going to have to pick and choose his engagements carefully. Slash picking up the Shelly, going up against Tyrant Star on the opposite side.
Gene also coming out for IX as well. So that makes me feel like, I mean, other than the BB, I feel like they want to play a little bit slower. Shelly has the chance to go in and do that, you know, shot and then super to blast through whatever she's doing. So that's an option for them. But I think they could just play off these picks in the Magic Hand and then go in. And there's one, a BB just deleted, pulled into Shelly's shotgun. And that's I mean, she's the tank crusher. I mean, that's a ton of damage coming in.
Plenty of damage. Bobby has the super, could drop the elbow, gets caught out. Actually, Cheppo finds the kill here. Slash gets the ball passed forward to him. Now it's just OG trying to defend the wall break right at the perfect time. Opens up the door. IX Gaming now 1 goal away from a 2-0 set lead.
Shot to the super cancel. So every time Brawl Balls, I mean, well, Brawl Balls are a permanent rotation now, but every time I play Brawl Ball, I'm like, I can get some trophies on my Shelly. I've just been playing it since I watched the first time I saw her get played 2 weeks ago. Maybe, yeah. I mean, the speed boost from that, it's enough. He just crosses that distance. Bobby tries to get him, but it's just too late. Ball rolls straight into the goal.
As convincing as Space Station Gaming were in our quarterfinals, IX are really taking it to him here. 2-1 in Siege first round, now 2-0 in Brawl Ball, moving towards our third game mode here. Convincing, though, this time around. Last Brawl Ball, first Brawl Ball, went to an overtime, but just more calculated team play. Big switch up, bringing out the Shelly. She's very situational in when she can be good, and as you point out, good speed boost usage. He just doesn't stop. He just runs his way on in.
I mean, that's why you pick home run, to be able to cross that gap. So IX 2-0.
Yeah,
Great start by them, and we're going into Heist, another objective mode, and they looked pretty good on Siege.
Chance to move forward to the finals if they're able to take a couple games of Heist. Sandy Gems awaits. Look at this map. Lots of environment there towards the middle. It's still a traditionally lane map. You kind of look at the 3 or 4 really lanes divided out by some of the environment there, but plenty of grass to eliminate sightlines, frontliners. Definitely strong here.
Is it really Sandy Gems?
I don't know.
Grassy gems?
Grassy gems,
there's plenty of grass on
this
this
checkerboard
map.
ground sand. I guess technically yes.
I mean, it would have to be if it's Sandy Gems.
Right. Also, it's Heist. There are no gems in this game mode.
It's true.
So that's
they're in the safe.
Right. You're right. And when the safe breaks, they fall onto the sand and get sandy. All right.
Okay, you're right.
That tracks.
Right. It does for sure.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
I would definitely expect to see. This is one where I think you can go those more long range, I think, pokey characters, because then once you get that wall right in front of the safe down, it's just free firing. If you control mid, you can just put a ton of damage on, and they have to do longer rotations to stop you, as opposed to the bull and the pre-mode dives. We're still going to see that for sure. They're just too good on these modes, but being able to do that and have the ability to poke things out, and you can see Rico and 8-Bit coming out for SSG, two of those characters that once that ground is broken up by Tyrant, they're going to be able to do a ton of damage to the objective.
Big swap here. You have Piper for IX and Rico also for IX, but 8-Bit for SSG. I'm So Strong finds first and second blood. And look at that, already clearing out that environment in the middle. Tyrant Star one shot away. Now defending a wide open safe. And I wouldn't be surprised if Space Station now are just on the back foot the entire game. These are so hard to come back from.
I mean, look at this. Already 50% done. Tyrant's trying to flank the Piper, but Poppin's not there quite yet, so he gets the pick there. Chepo still has a chance, but he does go down. 7% left, though. They can't ever let someone by. If Slash gets the bull charge and goes through, it's over. They just can't even let him get close enough to charge through.
Bobby's looking for the pick here. I'm So Strong could use the super to put himself in a good spot. Tyrant Star drops off, opens up a little bit of a gap, but opens up the rest of his team to a beautiful super from Chepo. That charges up his second. Down goes the safe. And now one game away from moving on to your finals, our IX.
That was a crazy super from Chepo. Maybe it's just because Rico's my favorite brawler to play, but wow. That bounce into that. Rico's so good in good hands, able to, once you can predict the bounces past where the crosshair tells you, if you can get those double bounce shots or just those supers to clean up and cleave through the enemy, so good. Such a fun brawler to see played, I feel.
Yeah.
Also good, always good on these very close choke pointy maps. Chepo played it so well.
Well, there's plenty of space on this map right there. A great example. Bounces the shots off of the roof, charges up that super, gets the double kill, and then that open. I mean, at 7%, I think regular old attacks would have done it. But if nothing else, some icing on the cake gets the super around the end. You're right. He kind of walking away from an explosion there. IX Gaming very close to kicking SSG out of this one, locking up a seeding for themselves. Potentially for the regional finals up here in a couple of weeks. Quick look at the compositions. Changing up to the Piper here is OG. And rotating onto the 8-Bit and the thrower Barley for IX Gaming this time around. So two teams taking different looks at their second compositions.
I'm actually not surprised that SSG dropped the 8-Bit. I think they felt like they were too slow to cross that gap, but look where they are now. 8-Bit's probably going to drop, as soon as he gets one more shot, going to drop that damage boost to put on a lot of pressure to the objective, but OG quickly eliminating that. I'm surprised the 8-Bit was able to cross this distance, but I think that's just showing IX's ability to just find the holes to get in, cross that gap. OG having to blow up part of his own cover just to be able to stop this aggressive push from IX.
I'm So Strong has extra life. No longer. He did revive in the back line of the SSG base. They were able to get 42% ticked away. There was a bull for Space Station Gaming trying to poke away. Tyrant Star was able to find some damage. Now I'm so strong, just trying to stay alive. Dodges out the bull charge from Tyrant Star. Going toe-to-toe with Slash. One more shot will do it. Engagement's happening all over the map, but look at the top left. The safe is still being melted away. Space Station Gaming only have 24% left to make it 22. They might just be winning the game on the bottom side. Finally, Chepo is cleaned up by OG, but not before doing a huge chunk of damage.
Yeah, that's massive, 20%. Now, IX is retaking some of this ground. Everything's open, so if OG gets close enough, they could put on a lot, but Bobby Super does not connect the way they want it to. Looks like SSG might want to do something, but Tyrant Star only gets like 10% onto the objective. The Barley's going to chip him out. With the bull down, they have a little bit of rain here. Barley Super coming in to clear mid, but actually Slash goes down, and Bobby might have a free sideline, but he walks into the AoE damage from the Barley.
Oh no, and Chepo just for a moment had an angle that he could have moved forward. 19% still, 40 seconds remaining. Bobby with some great shots, cleans up Chepo. OG, though, on the opposite side falls as well. Slash bull charges in, 4% is all that's left. Space Station Gaming with a successful defense. 29 seconds left now. Chepo just needs one opening to get in there and drop a bomb, or they can stay back, play some defense, and they'll move on just the same.
Just by existing in the midfield, he's going to not let SSG come in, because if they let him go in, it's over. One auto attack will do it. Tyrant Star bull charges through mid, but that's a tank not in the way of IX's push towards the objective.
Just need one
poke. Able to block everything. 8-bit just barely not making it. 84 HP, but it's still only 5 seconds remaining. And IX, well, they get the shot anyway.
They get the final shot. Gems on the ground. Sandy Gems. IX Gaming in 3-0 fashion move through these semifinals. On to the finals they go. And I'm not only surprised because Space Station are a very, very good team, but they blew through the quarterfinals, only dropping one game mode, and then to lose 2-1 and then 2-0, 2-0 in the semifinals, very surprising. IX, certainly a team you're going to have to keep your eyes on, but great play here in the gem grab, in the heist, excuse me. As back and forth as the rest of the game modes seemingly have been, this one very in control of IX.
Yeah, for sure. I think SSG's just slow play really ended up biting them in the end. They wanted to wait and punish them as they came in, but IX's aggression was just unmatchable by that style of play. It punished them a lot in the last set, and I think it punished them here.
Yeah, they tried to adapt, moving towards the Piper. SSG was looking to change things around. We do have the other semifinal underway. We'll be able to jump into that in just a minute, see who from that game is moving into the finals. Composition look, though, for Space Station Gaming, if we're looking particularly at that last game. The pivot onto the Piper, I think it made some sense. Obviously, it worked very well for IX, but just couldn't quite hit home the same as it did for IX.
You have to make it across that distance to be able to do that. You know, the Piper works when she can free fire onto the safe once you clear that environment. And IX were the ones that were getting into their face, and we know, I mean, Piper was able to sit in her spawn and get chip damage onto the people pushing, but that's not the win. The win is the objective. They were never able to really get her there.
And there was a moment, I'm looking at this, they left Piper back, and then it was Chepo, I think. There was kind of these split engagements everywhere, but there was a brief moment in the middle of that game where each team had one person defending, each team had one person attacking, then there was an engagement mid. And Chepo was just able to stay alive so much longer on that Barley, trying to fight against the Piper in the back of the base, and that's when he was able to chip down the safe to like 19%. Or something like that. And IX were just very positionally in control throughout most of that game. And so often, if you control the mid, you can force a team all the way back. You're going to maybe take the day. Take a look at the bans for the other semifinal. Everything is Fine versus the Skirts. Tick and Gene both taken off the board.
I like the team name Everything is Fine. I got to say.
Yes.
It's cool. In the
second to no one earlier the day.
Yeah,
like
that was
no
good
one
too.
from Europe. Wait,
who?
No one, of course.
What?
Nobody was playing. They just they had a free pass on through. You're right. Everything is fine, though. 2-0 is where we stand. 1-0 set-wise. 2-0 in Siege. Same structure in the tournament. We're still in the semifinal. Siege goes to Everything is Fine. Brawl Ball awaits in the wings with Heist to follow up. Some more Brawl Ball. Some fun watching the last two semifinalists go for Brawl Ball. We're going to get one more look at it here.
Yeah, always nice to be able to jump right into Brawl Ball. And Tick and Gene banned. Gene would have been, I think, the only one we would see on this map. Throwers, I don't really see quite as much on Brawl Ball as you want. They have some decent ability to zone out, but I think some people would rather go with the spike for the slow field on the ball and for the indirect damage around the corners, plus crazy burst damage, I think, if you land that directly.
Looks like they're going to go Bull, 8-Bit, and Piper. Naturally very different compositions. Only Piper, the same, absolutely deleted right off the bat. Dark Eagle hits those shots. BB, for everything is fine, going to try to move forward. Back end right now, though. Piper for General finds a couple pokes throughout the middle, and I think Poco could be a big difference maker here.
Yeah, most likely. The ability to sustain the team. I mean, the health also on the Poco versus the 8-Bit's really healthy too, but Poco's a lot faster. They might be able to cross a little bit more ground. Skirt's composition is going to be very defensive,
yeah.
I feel, with the 8-Bit and the Piper. The Bull might be able to do something, but I mean, just walking at the BB of E-blows and just getting deleted basically there on the right side.
Not been able to move very far forward. The extra life was used from Slat there as General finds another poke kill onto the Piper for the Skirt side of things. Ball hanging out right in the middle, but on the right-hand side here, looking for a little bit of spaces. E-blows, and he does knock back Swagger a little bit. Very small engagements happening towards the mid here. Neither team wanting to give up an inch.
E-blow's running the DR as well, so going to be able to potentially tank through a bit of damage walking in. Once you get close to the Piper, that's going to be real tough for the Piper to deal with, especially at that range. Great shots by General. Almost managed to connect onto Eagle, getting him down, but this 8-Bit getting pressured down so far. The health on Skirts is just falling over. Super kick to the pass, and
wow.
Start up this Brawl Ball 1-0.
What a great pass that was. Everything is fine with some strong offense. The power of Screeching Solo for Poco cannot be understated. Effectively winning a 2v1 towards the back side of that engagement. First blood over to Everything is Fine. Get another one, 2 versus 1 here in the middle. Don't want to move too far forward. There's still a Piper you have to worry about.
And a damage
boost.
And a
damage boost. So we're going to hang back just a little bit.
That's scary, but it does eventually go away. And now they're going to move in. Hopefully at some point, once they find an opening, get someone low with their Piper. Swagger on the Bull clears a lot of room in the middle, but he goes down, and no one's fast enough to follow up. He's so much more mobile than the rest of his team. Piper maybe can use her poppin', but they just end up super kicking it straight to General, and Poco with a ton of damage. They connect on Piper as well, and they get the 8-Bit, so they could just walk this down mid. They can pass it to Rommel to super kick in.
Right, look to do it. Backs off. They were in a great spot there. 14 seconds left. They could actually, just kick the ball to the back of their base. If they defend successfully, which it looks like they're going to be able to, one goal will be the decider here. Everything is fine. Take the first Brawl Ball. Poco, big difference maker throughout this game.
I think so. Screeching Solo did a lot for the sustain on the first goal, at least the first engagement before the goal. I want to see Skirts change something a little bit more mobile. They both had Piper, but I feel like the Poco just able to kind of tank his team through. The Bull was too far apart from the rest of his team when they wanted to actually go in and go for that goal.
And I think some good examples of where damage reduction for E-blows kind of makes some sense. I mean, obviously there's definitely some merit to the faster BB this time around. They're surviving a few shots from Dark Eagle that he might have been chunked down just a little bit further here, but just playing good defense around the end. It was honestly a slower game of Brawl Ball than I'm used to seeing. But you get that first goal, you realize that you're going to be able to really control that mid space. Why not just kick the ball into the back of your base and defend?
Yeah, if you have a composition they can't really go through, especially when they're running the 8-Bit Piper.
Right.
No, that 8-Bit's not going to walk through you.
He is not.
He'll try.
He is not.
But there'll be a laugh track, he'll fall over, and it'll be just too tough for him to be able to make that. So smart play by them, I think. And
agreed.
I want to definitely see a compositional change from Skirts, for sure.
Yeah.
I want to see them be a little bit more mobile and be able to actually bring that ball to the goal.
I loved seeing Poco. I mean, a lot of the conversation we had about 8-Bit, about Piper, but I think Sean, I mean, even specifically, I think Poco was a good brawler to have in your team, but Sean played it very, very well. I mean, constantly winning these 2v1 engagements, and it's hard to calculate. If you're fighting against a Poco, not only does he do a wide cone of damage, he does a lot of damage, and then Screeching Solo, if you look at just a net health swing, he's chunking everyone for 1,000, but also healing himself up. So, I mean, you're talking about a full two-way swing here. They do end up rotating onto the Poco for the Skirts.
It also pierces walls, and there's so many tiny little corners on this map that you can get hit around a corner as you're running away from the Poco, and then you just Screeching Solos you. And you thought you were safe, but you're not. And that's a huge deal. Skirts, they're just running a mirror comp at this point, and it's already working. They have their Poco pretty far in. This BB kind of trying to face tank him, but if he gets the Screeching Solo in time, does not. Wow. So everything is fine. Do manage to put up a decent defense.
Dark Eagle trying to move forward. Elects not to under a 2v1 disadvantage, so he's fine with that. Evo's going to pass the ball forward. Some good ball movement, but everything is fine. Goal number 1 in our first Brawl Ball and win number 1. Just need one more to move on from Brawl Ball with a 2-0 lead in this set. Still a slow play for both teams here. Good screeching solo, chunks out a lot for the Skirts. General is back, trying to avoid being poked out, but Slat weaves a shot in there, wins the Piper engagement. Sean is going to catch the ball, actually, and that might just buy his team some time to respawn.
Good by Sean to bounce it back, and the pop-in from Slat to open up a lot of room. Evilo's trying to get in the way, knocks the ball out of Eagle's hands and throws it to the corner so they can play safe and slow. They don't have a goal yet, but now they're going to force Skirts to come in to get it.
Right.
They're going to walk into so much open space if they want to be able to reclaim that ball, and they can play as slow as they want.
So close.
They get it themselves.
16 health finally. BB finds the kill. Swagger's down, but it's a 1-for-1 trade as well. It's almost like a mini Rosa super for BB when she has that DR on, which is, you know, pretty effective. You're obviously trading out the movement speed boost, but if you're just trying to carry that ball into the enemy team base, if you're not going to be swinging and losing that damage reduction, I think it makes some sense depending on the environment that you're in here. Still no goal just yet. 30 seconds left on the clock. I
think it depends on how many people. If you're bringing it in off of a wipe and they're all respawning, oh then yeah, of course, give me home run.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
But when they're all alive and I just got to tank through them, Sean might be able to make it barely. Creeping over the edge again, and the slow play from everything is fine is paying off for them again since they held onto that ball for so long. Now there's only 20 seconds for Skirts to bring it in. A pick on General will be a great way to start that for them, though.
They're backing off. Sean is going to get some healing in for his team. Slat tosses the ball into the corner. Again, the ball goes. 8 seconds left. They're going to clean up Dark Eagle. Sean's still alive. 4, 3, 2. Oh, with 1 second left on the clock, we're headed to overtime.
And a mirror comms means no one has a distinct advantage here. It's going to come down to just the Piper duel, honestly, more than anything. There's nowhere to hide. General gets the first shot, but Eagle moves into body block for the rest of them. Eagle walking in with it. No super, but he does have the damage reduction. The ball gets taken away, but Eagle dies now before he kicks it away to the side to force Swagger into a sideline to pick it up.
One more shot onto Slat would clean him up. Sean nearly getting it. Swagger has that screeching solo ready to go. Clean up Poco first of all, the pass forward. Poco just needs one more, but getting rid of the ball. Everyone is down. All off the post. Not gonna matter. Skirts tied this one up. I was very nervous there for a moment, but the post would have sealed things up. 1-1. Everything is fine. Still one away on Brawl Ball from taking it.
Swagger is for sure star player of that game. I know Slat got it because he got a bunch of duels he won on General. That was great by him, but that last second super kick to save the game, which I'm sure we're about to see right here, so crude. I mean, you don't win the game without the goal.
Right.
He had the perfect angle here, got the bounce. If that shot barely missed, it was over.
And not a moment to spare. I mean, he literally had to immediately shoot the ball when he did. The clock down to about 1 second towards the end of the game. Maybe just a little flare. Maybe they meant to pass it off of the post that time around. Either way, they end up scoring. And you're right, the composition pivot definitely looked a lot better, sticking with the Piper, but adding in the Poco, and much more even here for both sides. Yeah,
for sure. And Brawl Ball, again, it's such a unique mode that you really have to have like these specific things practiced, like the bounce shot, like knowing that my super kick will hit there and reach from here. You're not going to know that if you play Siege or Heist or Gem Grab or anything. It's purely specific to this mode. So interesting. Actually, a pivot from everything is fine. They have 8-bit now. So a bit of a slower, definitely a slower character, purely off that. But removing the Piper for it is interesting.
And Sean has had a great game, a great couple of games on the Poco, but he's going to be the one on 8-bit, whereas General takes up. Sean nearly in range on the revive to get that defense. Doesn't happen, though. Skirts strike first here. Now just one goal away from tying up this set. First blood in the second round, thanks to the damage amp. Goes to everything is fine. Ball finally starting to move forward. E-blows with that damage reduction. Could move forward. Elects not to. That big swing from Dark Eagle would have dropped the ball out of his possession. Sean looking for another chance to maybe move that damage amp a little bit forward. Not just yet, though. They back off, down one goal.
Big rough thing is that because of where Sean died and the timing of when he died, that one-up also got wasted, more or less. His revive is now not in the picture anymore. So they're not going to have that potential Sean dives in, dies by their spawn, respawns right there, and continues to apply the pressure. That's just gone. And Skirt's taking up a decent amount of map control. They're still surrounded by walls and actually completely pinched. Eblos does not deal with Splat anymore. Eagle trying to come in, but he's going to go down, and map control firmly for everything is fine, but the wall, they still have to make a bit of a move to get to it, and Splat is not letting them come in without chipping them for quite a bit of damage.
That's wild. Splat just zoned out 3 members of Everything Is Fine. They were unable to move the ball forward. Finally, getting some forward progress is Everything Is Fine. 1 minute left. Eblos looking for the angle, doesn't find it. Ball back in the possession of Skirts. They're going to pass it forward now. The respawn might be the last effort here from Everything Is Fine. They're going to move it forward, give Sean another chance to get things moving. 1-0 is where we stand. Skirts in the lead, 40 seconds left. The chance to either tie the set or go up 2-0 depending on who wins it. Some good damage in the mid. Sean at 62 health. They might not need it though. Dark Eagle, there's only 1 member left. Oh, good swing, gets rid of the ball, but he trades out his life and it's still a 3 versus 1.
Yeah, the home run CCs the ball out of his hands and they manage to retake it. Terrible health on Skirts. Now Everything Is Fine needs to cross this map as fast as possible. They pass it back for safety. General taking a lot of damage from Slat. What a great shot by him. That's going to give them way less options once they get here, but they might just walk this in with the BB damage reduction. Honestly, Sean can tank just enough.
Home run swing.
Home run doesn't hit. They walk it in, and now it's tied again. We're going to overtime with only seconds remaining on the clock.
And what a bait that was. Eblos moved forward, baited out the home run swing, and then once that was down, moved back in and realized he could get there all on his own. Ball moving very, very far forward here for the Skirts. 1 shot will seal this one up as we're in overtime. Good home run swing, but everyone is dead, and the Skirts strike back and take Brawl Ball to tie up this set.
As we go to overtime, it kind of shows the weakness of pivoting away from Piper, because once there's no cover, and you just got 8-bit, he's looking at their Piper.
Yeah.
He's trudging along, but you're not going to be able to use him. You're not going to be able to put his damage boost behind cover for your team to use. They can shoot it down very easily, and it made the end game much harder for Everything Is Fine than it had to be.
And there's that extra life. The first goal, there's a world where if that takes maybe a second longer, he revives in the perfect spot to stop the ball from going in. But you bring it up, now it's down for the rest of the game, and it wasn't even effective when you were able to use it. It's certain, it's probably the epitome of a feast or famine star power in the sense that sometimes it wins you a game, you take control of the middle area of the map, but other times it's basically a waste. Maybe a little bit harsh, but definitely didn't find the impact they were looking for that time around. Skirts taking Brawl Ball. That means we're moving into Heist, set number 3. It's just going to decide the tiebreaker, and then a couple more game modes after that, maybe. Another Sandy Gems for us. We got to see it in the last semifinal. Piper played a big role last time we saw this map.
Yeah, it really depends on what team I think can just take that forward positioning early.
Sure.
Utilize those walls in mid, the brushes in mid, and just destroy that wall to really open the map up. That really is, if you look at it, that's really it. That's all that safe has got for keeping it up. So if you get there and you use that environmental destruction first, whether it's your Piper using her super to go back, whether it's a bull dashing through, either way, once that's out of the way, you can do so much damage to the objective, and there's no answer for them other than just walking into you.
It's wide open. You physically don't anymore have to go into the enemy team's base. You can just sit back free and clear, feel safe, throw out a few shots, and do some damage. We also saw Barley in the last game on this map, and to pretty good impact, Chepo was able to find some good, safe damage. Not going to be the case here. Still some Piper. For Everything Is Fine. Jesse notably the big standout here for the Skirts, looking for some of that bounce damage.
Yeah, being able to kind of punish teams that group up a little bit. And they're actually ignoring General here. Slat pulling back to deal with it, but might just have a base race to start the game, but it looks like they might back off, actually. They think they're worried about their ability to race a bull, even if that bull is getting dealt with in the back line.
There's the extra life for Eblos. It's back. Some good BB bounces there. Chunk out 4,000 or 5,000 more damage. Relatively even, safe-wise. Slat with the 8-bit kill there. One for himself. Damage amp out in the middle of the map. Extra life was already used for Everything Is Fine. Now used for Slat on the Skirts. Slight safe lead for them, but there's some damage back in their base. They're electing to move forward, get aggressive here. Sean opens up his own base there with the super. Slat now can find some shots, but also it means Sean's going to have clear sight lines to shoot towards the mid.
Yeah, once they get room, it's going to help, and Swagger completely pinned down between Eblos and Sean. They're going to take a little bit of ground here. General, though, he can't get through. That wall is still up over there, so he can't really get in without taking damage, especially since he's trying to maintain that berserk, maintain that reload speed. So now, Skirts retaking just a little bit of ground. Eagle, I think, wants to get his turret up somewhere that can shoot onto the safe, just apply a little bit more pressure, but they have to back up. these shot balls, these shots from the Eagle could be hitting and grouping, but they're dodging them, I think, pretty effectively.
Absolutely are. In goes the Bull. Some safe damage follows. 22%. All that's left on the red safe. Sean could find some damage as he chooses to back off here. Dark Eagle is going to put down his turret just for a little bit of base defense. 45 seconds left, a slight lead for Everything Is Fine as the Skirts look to move forward. Sean falls, but you gotta keep your eye on the health bar up top. There was a sneaky Bull in the back line. 7% is where he's at. One more shot will do it. Oh, but it's down on the opposite side. A 1% to 0. And the Skirts with just 1% more damage take the first one.
Even with less damage on one character, it was still a 1 versus 2 on that base race. It was that close, and even with the Berserk, the reload speed just not enough to get the conversion. It was really that close.
One more shot is all we needed. Interesting decision to open up his base here for Sean. I think it just allows him to maybe feel a little bit more comfortable on defense. I now don't have to move too far to try to find some shots, but this is that game-ending fight. You have the turret down, you have Slat there. Not a shot wasted. 1/2 second longer, and things would have been flipped.
Without Jesse, maybe that would have been a win for
Sure.
Bull. Maybe Bull would have outraced them.
Yeah.
That Jesse, great pick, I feel.
Yeah, and it's not a brawler that we frequently see, but the turret playing a pretty big role there towards the end. I mean, it's just a little bit of extra damage for him.
Yeah, it was just that little bit over without shooting without worrying about the reload. I mean, that really did it. It was just that close, so being able to do that was huge for them. And now, moving in again, I want to see if they do stick with it, because it could have been just like a one-time thing for them. And they switched to the Piper.
Yep.
I want to be a little bit more poke-heavy, so now it's going to be a mirror composition, and whatever team I feel like, again, we said it before, whatever team takes that ground and crosses first is going to be the team that wins.
General Rumble.
And General's just walking in at this point, but they're going to pull back and deal with him, and then they could just walk back in after. He has the Berserk, so he's clearly playing that kind of suicidal, just go in and do as much damage to the objective as he can before he goes down. And Swagger, playing with the other star power, damage reduction, ended up getting more done.
Yeah, dodged it out very, very well. Kept himself alive at triple-digit health just for a little bit longer. 66 to 64 is where we stand. Very, very even. Came down to a 1 to 0%. The end of the last game. Extra life for Slat's going to pick him up. He's going to get the kill on a General. Sean forces his way back, destroys a little bit of that environment. Something to keep your eyes on, absolutely. As Swagger falls at the hand of Sean. Dark Eagle as well gets himself into the kill feed. Slat free and clear to start doing some shooting here, and he starts to melt down some safes.
General's really, really low. The Bull charge over there to stop him, and they can take a lot of ground now. The most healthy member of that team, I mean, 8-Bit's healthy too, but he's not going anywhere for them to deal with. You can already see Swagger's over here on the right. General's trying to poke him out, but just not able to find it. And Skirts get the first pick onto Sean too, so now they're just gonna waltz in here. Ebelos is so low. Swagger has complete control. The safe is going down.
They're in an absolutely great spot here. 8% is where we're left. It did go down. One more shot from Dark Eagle could seal it up. Might need to. Moves past 4%, so you did need to, or just to be a little bit further back. But you cannot let Everything Is Fine move all the way in. Bull charge for General is going to get him in range. Maybe you just send everyone to the opposite side and try to find one more poke shot. Ebelos gets the kill onto Swagger. 2% is all that's left. They successfully defend their base. General Rommel still alive. 29% on the Skirts base.
He wasn't low though. I think that could have ended if General was low enough, but he wasn't, and Swagger dives in, and the damage reduction from the tough guy just barely letting him edge it out at the end. Get it and just get it.
Wow.
That's the difference between those two star powers.
Yeah,
straight up. Just
sure.
Either you're rushing because you think they're going to ignore you, or you know you have to do it under fire.
Right.
And I think that shows the difference and why some people are pivoting away from the Berserk.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. It ends up in the Skirts' favor this time around. 2-0 start for Everything Is Fine, but a big fight back from the Skirts. 2-1 and now 2-0. This game mode has them one game away from the opposite side of the North America Finals here, and maybe to try to seal it up, we're going to get some bounty on Layer Cake.
Some big, I mean, they looked great in the Poke game mode, I feel,
yes.
with the Piper and the 8-Bit. I thought they looked good, and this is most likely going to be more of the same. Yeah, we'll probably see a Brock as well, maybe a Bow. Well, this is basically Sharpshooter the mode.
Right.
Also, maybe potentially some throwers on this map because of the limited chokes, but the Sharpshooters are going to be way more consistent. It does come down to player preference at that point.
Sure. It's a fun map to look at in that, you know, there are these, I mean, quite literally these horizontal lanes, but also very vertical. I mean, although there's environment in the way, it's kind of these different tiers. You can think of it, I'm going to force my way forward, drop them back a tier, and you kind of take this ground. So if you move forward, grab that first star, and you're able to move into that layer of grass on the enemy team side. Now they're forced back a little bit. It's kind of a war of attrition per se. You're taking space, you're losing space, and it's a little bit easier to track than in some other game modes because of just the way everything is laid out.
Well, didn't you make a comparison at some point when me and you were talking before about war, that mode from?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, I think so.
I might have.
That constantly taking objectives and moving forward, basically. Even though the objective is the stars in the end, you're still just choke point to choke point, constantly fighting slowly for that ground.
Yeah, and much different. We've seen Snake Prairie a good bit today. A look at Layer Cake here in your semifinals. Get some Mortis here. I like that skin as well. A little Mortis for both teams. Brock for Bo is the big trade out here. First star, Eblos is able to move his way in there, grab the first star. Everything is fine now. They can just sit back and absorb all this pressure.
Yeah, it looks like Dark Eagle's also running Snare Bear, Stun Mines, being able to come out. Vision not really necessarily needed on this map as opposed to Snake Prairie. I like the Mortis as an attempt to dive for that neutral star, you know, and start things off well. Mortis chasing Mortis just looks really silly. I'm sorry. Just
it does.
Panic.
Just two dashes, ready to just kind of twitching all over the place. It's a funny engagement to watch. Everything is fine. Comes out on top of it, though, 7-0. You get the first star. You get 3 follow-up kills here as well. Now you're in a great spot where you can just move backwards. Not a lot of environment on your side either. You're hoping that somebody can win this Mortis engagement on the side, but both of them dead even as far as health goes.
I think we can see why Mortis is being played on this map, because you can go from one set of brush, jump to the next, and immediately you've taken a ton of space for your team. Your team is potentially going to be there to follow up on it. The Mortis anime duels there on the left side as they clash their samurai swords more or less as they go past each other. Still kind of ignoring everything else, but I mean, everything is fine. Wow. They're getting pushed in, but they're finding every kill.
Right.
And they're just not going down. I mean, it's 11-0. Skirts just can't win a duel. General gets another one on Slat.
The Mortis engagement there for Swagger, he wrapped all the way around the left-hand side in behind. Everything is fine, but unfortunately was unable to clean up any of those kills. 20 seconds left. 13 stars is your difference maker. I don't think there's enough totally to turn this game around. Only 12 stars alive, so you're going to have to kill everybody and then someone twice and not lose anybody in the meantime. That's enough to start it off, but you have to find the other members, and losing 3 stars as well is certainly not going to help that. 18-3 is where we stand. 18-3 is likely where we'll end, and everything is fine. Take the first bounty.
I mean, even if Skirts got every kill there at the last second, it would have only been 16 points for them. So. Great, I mean, they just could not get surrounded. Even when they were getting wrapped around, they just perfectly played the cover every time.
Right.
They were hitting every shot in that. General was connecting a ton of really good Piper shots, and that's so important on Bounty. I mean, such an important brawler for this, that burst damage at range, some of the longest range we have in the game. Huge, and General was making it work 100%.
And Brock, a big difference maker here for everything is fine. Found some good damage and then a little bit of extra destruction. I mean, Bo with the mines, it's kind of RNG on how they land and how they place, but Brock with tried and true, that super is going to eliminate so much of the space that the opposite team is going to look to move into, so I think that's a good pickup from them.
Yeah, for sure, and he also has that sharpshooter lockdown and choke with spam potential.
Right.
Whether you go Rocket number 4 or Incendiary, you're still putting down zoning pressure, whether it's because they have to walk through fire or because you just don't stop shooting.
Just extra poke, sure. And that's kind of the engagement we saw a little bit of, was the Brock trying to outpoke a Piper. Doesn't always come up in your favor. They do trade out the Mortis for a Rosa. Everything is fine. The Skirts, though, they add a Brock to their lineup. Stick with the Mortis and keep everything else the same. First star this time is for the Skirts, but immediately traded out. General hits some good shots onto Slat. And now everything is fine with a 1-star advantage.
Slat was doing well, I think, in the duels earlier, but General has just gotten the better of him a lot since then. And Sean with that corner pressure, he wants to start winning these fights and just forced it into Sean there. The Mortis dive into the back, forces out the Poppin' actually, and he holds on to the last dash and should be able to get this. Perfect timing by Swagger to end up tying things up. He got the neutral star and the only pick. Every star on the board for Skirts is on the back of Swagger.
Now for Eblos in the back line. Rosa ganking your team is not something that you're too excited to see, especially when you're at a 2 versus 3. Good snipe from General there. Swagger's gonna time himself, try to get out of danger. Actually gets the kill for his troubles. General, though, with another good shot, and Sean as well getting in on the board. Puts them at a 6-12 advantage here. 6 in the lead, but a big 4-star swing for the Skirts only puts them down 2.
Yeah, they tried to dive. He went a little bit too aggressive onto the Piper, got baited by the super. He got it perfectly before, but this time he had to use all 3 dashes to cross that distance. And so 4 stars, though, if they manage to pick up General. Not as many on the board for Everything Is Fine, but they already are holding on to that lead. And look at the cover difference here. I mean, Skirts are just playing completely. They're behind a tree. No cover. It's like a 5-year-old playing hide and seek. They stand behind the potted plant, and they're like, "Oh my God, how'd you find me?" That's basically what's happening right now. But they managed to get in. They're getting close, and they're using their cover now. They get a Brock Super. They could really open things up. Eagle needs to land some poke to be able to do that, but he's getting so low there on the backside.
He can't move too far forward, unfortunately. Walks right back into it. Swagger is going to try to get aggressive here, but it's a 6-star difference. Not enough to turn it around, and Everything Is Fine. They take themselves bounty and force a game mode number 5.
Yeah, that was great play by them. That was such a rough engagement for Skirts.
They controlled that space, start to finish.
Yeah, they let them blow up their stuff, and then they went, "Oh, we have the lead. We're just gonna go to our spawn. You have fun with this."
Right.
Like that world. What was it called between the trenches and World War I?
No Man's Land.
No Man's Land. That's basically what it became. They just couldn't walk through it.
You point out, look at the grass difference. No grass to be found at the top of the screen. Like maybe a patch here or there. And they move just too far forward, trying to get too aggressive towards the end. I guess you had to. That moves us into set number 5, Gem Grab, to decide who will be representing this side of the bracket in the finals.
I think this is good for Everything Is Fine. I mean, they just showed how good they are at these slower and more neutral-focused modes. We're going into one of those. I mean, it is one with some decent cover. Might be able to play something with mobility and get to the enemy bush and kind of bait them around those tires, but they've shown how strong they can be on these modes. So I would honestly give the edge to them heading into Gem Grab.
It's such a funny map. I like it. There's very few maps. Actually, I can't really think of anything that comes to mind, maps that I don't like in Brawl Stars.
I got one, but that's it.
Which is that?
That's Minecart Madness.
I love Minecart Madness. It's the best. You're rarely wrong, but this is one time that you're wrong. Crosscut, though, fun map to watch. And it's different in that some of the maps are just very busy. You get, some cluttered environments, lots of corners to play around. And this one is like there's 4 blocks, and there's a lot of cover to play around, but it's only because they're so big. There's not a lot kind of happening everywhere. There's just 4 big blocks that you have to play around. I know Piper is a player favorite on this map because of some of the range that she provides. Piper in general is a player favorite seemingly regardless of the map, but I imagine we see her here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're as good at the game as these players are, of course Piper's going to be played. She does so much damage at range, and if your team is making room for you and keeping them from getting onto you, it's almost always going to be effective. And Piper and 8-Bit for both teams going to be exactly what you said, more or less. And low mobility across the board. They're both running BB, but both with the batting stance damage reduction.
DR. Early poke in favor of Everything Is Fine. Forces Dark Eagle to the right. Sean as well. Takes a couple of shots. 8-Bit, sneaky tanky sometimes. I mean, he has a pretty decent-sized pool of health there, pushing that mid-5,000s where you look at BB and she's, in the low 6,000s. So you definitely have to chunk him down. First damage amp goes out for Everything Is Fine. Swagger with a big flank through the base of Everything Is Fine. Gets him a kill and a couple of gems. 4 total on the board. 4 total in the pockets of the Skirts here. And might even add 6 and 7 with 1 more. Swagger's just wreaking havoc on this left-hand side.
To get away from Sean, though, Dark Eagle blows up his own tires, so a little bit less cover for him through that brush. He has to play in the open, and you can already see it's not working. Sean connects some great shots from across the map to take him down. Wasn't carrying a lot of gems, but it's still going to set them back. If they want to get that gem, they have to walk into the open.
Yeah, Slat is playing far enough back that even if he falls, there's going to be somebody from the Skirts in range. Countdown begins. 5 gems apiece for Swagger and Slat here. Dark Eagle respawns. Swagger actually looking to get aggressive. 5 seconds left. They're just fighting in the damage amplification. Countdown reset. 3 health on Eblos, and they're not going to find him just yet. 1 more shot is all they need. He somehow gets out alive. Maybe getting cleaned up here. Finally, Countdown is going to re-begin for the Skirts as they backpedal one last time.
Might be able to get BB and get some gems of their own and stop the countdown, actually. Sean, way too slow, though. That's 8-Bit for you. He cannot make it towards those gems, so they're going to get some. And now they have middle control, so even with that, how close that was, Eblos barely makes it and catches it. But now your BB is your carrier.
Right.
She's going to have to play really careful. And, I mean, now they're putting that damage amp on her to kind of soak some of that poke for her. Swagger trying to come in just to get that last gem. Not going to work out. Things are very close. 9 gems to 9 gems. The next one's going to decide it, and it's basically just a Piper duel at this point.
Dark Eagle needs to find 1 more shot. Gets it onto General. And now the gems are all on the ground, and they get a pretty staggered out fight here. Dark Eagle has enough that he can fully go back. Swagger won't worry about dying off here. 14 in the back pocket of Dark Eagle as we now eclipse 5 seconds remaining on the cooldown. And Dark Eagle in such a good spot here with 1 second left. Super up into the air. He's safe and sound, and everything is fine. They swing first and connect.
Yeah, that was great by the
Skirts.
Skirts. Yeah, I was going to say, that was...
swing first.
They did.
Not everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Well, everything is fine swung first because Eblo's got that crazy swing in the backline to get rid of Slat and get those gems early in the game. This was a crazy dive. I mean, you don't normally see... Usually the teams are like, yeah, conceptually, I will go back there and I will get somebody. But even forced the 1-up too, so they couldn't be as aggressive with it. They did end up getting the win, but that was such a good play by him, I feel.
It was.
They did, because of that though, they got stuck with their BB as their carrier, which forced her to play a lot more defensive. It made things a lot harder for Everything Is Fine than it needed to be.
Absolutely. They swing first, they connect first, well, swing second, I guess, according to that logic. Dark Eagle, big role player in that one, carrying the gems for his team around the end, and that's right where you want him. If you have something to say about it as we go into maybe the final game here in the semifinal set. General pivoting onto the Barley. Gets traded out with Swagger here. A couple of gems on the ground. First one goes to Sean. The rest, though, looking like the Skirts are going to be able to pick up.
Barley, I think, is mostly to poke out, to pressure out this BB. I mean, that's where he's been trading, so that would be my guess. I mean, as you can see, Swagger diving in, and unfortunate for General earlier, getting knocked with the home run into the corner, keeping himself in that range, and they managed to trade out Swagger, so no front line other than 8-bit up for them. General's going to have to take a little bit of ground here. Going to be able to zone actually pretty effectively with the throws now. Look how far back they are. Even with the gem advantage now, Everything Is Fine. Control the neutral ground.
This is what we saw last time. Eagle, to get away, uses the super, but blows up so much of the cover that he's afforded on his side of the map. Swagger, far forward, shots not connecting for Dark Eagle just yet. 4 gems for Everything Is Fine. 2 for the Skirts, but the respawn from Slat is going to put him in a great spot. That might actually begin the cooldown. It's just enough, and as long as they're able to kite backwards, Swagger has no gems. He can play zone all he wants. 10 seconds left to move on to the finals. They're spinning. They can taste it. 1 more countdown to go, and it looks like the Skirts, they're going to be going to the finals.
There's just not enough damage in the game to make this happen. Eblos wants to repeat the magic. Almost does it with the bubble, but it's just not enough, and Skirts take it after it. They played fantastic, I feel, across that gem grab. Even with the adaptation from Everything Is Fine, Skirts played super well that game.
I mean, in a 3-2 series, each team, you know, basically 2-0 in all of the game modes. Only that second game mode was a 2-1, but everything else very convincingly for one team or the other. Bouncing wins back and forth. Only the Skirts in games 2 and 3 were able to connect 2 wins in a row here. The gems throughout this game just on the perfect person. You have them on your Piper, you have him on Slat, who not only is ranged, is a little slow, but certainly has some health on that 8-bit to stay alive.
I gotta say, I did find it really funny once he got the gems.
Yes.
Just watching him try to just cheese it and run away.
Like, so slow.
I heard the $5 million man theme playing as he was running away.
It worked for him, though. He grabbed the gems, stayed alive, they get the win, and now they're moving on to the finals. It's going to be a great one to watch. Very excited to dive into that one here in just a moment. We're going to throw it to a quick break. Stick around because North America Finals right after this.
And just like that, we find ourselves in the grand finals. What's goody, folks? It's me, Tom Pattinger, F. Otherwise known as. To my left, we've got Kresnik ready to break it down, ready to see some action. Right off the bat, we're going to see what's going on here. What are you expecting to be banned out as we approach the finals?
We saw a lot of Tick and Gene throughout the day. I wouldn't be surprised to see that continue. Maybe they bring out the 8-bit to try to shake something up, but we haven't seen 8-bit bans in NA. It seems to be mostly like a European thing. Teams in NA are just kind of trying to get used to that revive from the 8-bit.
Yeah, people have been playing right into whatever 8-bit can bring, and it's a lot because you've got the damage amplification, etc., etc. This is what we're looking at for today. We got IX Gaming going up against the Skirts. Worth noting, Space Station getting knocked out by IX. That's an interesting one. Still all the way down. Nova gets knocked out by Space Station. That's also worth noting as well. Some cooler teams off in the distance, but right here up close and personal, Skirts, IX. Let's get into it, baby.
Yeah, for sure. IX looked so good. They looked so good versus Space Station. I mean, they basically had, I felt like they had control most of the time. There was some shakeups in Siege, but as the games went on, I mean, it just looked totally in their hands.
Yeah, it was weird. I think everybody in the scene was expecting a little bit more from the Plantas, if you will, but they can come out instead. We'll have to see what happens later on. I think they got a shot with respect to the third place match. We're not going to take a look at it on screen. We got the finals to deal with, so we'll worry about them a little bit later. But for right now, everybody looking at IX and what's going on with Skirts. So I'm eager to see what's going to jump in. We've got a situation here as far as all these teams are situated. The first place team is going to take home $600, and the second place team going to grab $300. And then, of course, third and fourth will split up the half and half. So $50 per player. Not exactly a trip to Korea, but you're kind of rooting for it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good trip to the grocery store. You're set for a little while, depending on how frugal you shop. Maybe it's a couple months worth of ramen if you're that frugal. So that works out.
What are you talking about?
What? The money.
What are you saying, man?
Like it's a trip to the grocery store. You can fill up your house. I just moved in.
I don't
somewhere
know.
On my own. What?
What are you
The
talking?
money. The prize money.
I understand. Let's take a look at the bands.
What? They're gonna spend it only on good things like crazy stuff like games and things like that. They're not going to be frugal with it. Tick and BB are the bands. Yes.
Tick and BB will be the bands out here. BB has been a favorite of IX for a long time. They like to push up and get very aggressive. And Tick in general is just a good zoning character. What I like about these bands is that they cover a lot of different game modes. They cover a lot of different nonsense. And so if you ban out Tick, you can pretty much be healthy. Gem grab, heist, brawl ball, siege, pretty much the whole damn thing. Bounty is where we're going to be starting. Shooting star. So should be an interesting look here so far. No Tick and no BB on the board. What are you expecting?
I'm definitely Bounty, so we're going to see some slower play as always. I don't think maybe Tick would have been here, but probably not BB. This map, very, very open. We're going to definitely see some more Piper play, some more Brock play. Wouldn't be surprised to see that. And just going to be a poke war between them. IX, I think they could have an edge. I thought that Skirts looked pretty good on this mode in general. Sure. But still going to be so tough to overcome it because they definitely had some issues with the Piper duels, at least in the later sets.
And that's going to be rough if you're going up against IX. I mean, these guys have been top of the crop for a long time. Chepo is just better than most of the people here on the board, so you got to watch out for it. IX, this is a squad that knows the ins and outs. Skirts on the other side, obviously, to get to the finals, they've got to be a little bit strong. But we'll see how it works when we take the battlefield here. Chepo Slash and Strong on the bottom side. And then on the top side, we got XX, Swagger, XX, the Dark Eagle, and Slat. As you said, the 8-bit coming right on out.
Yeah, the poke back, there's a really different compositions here. I mean, IX are going to want to really take it in. They have to get close to them, but Skirts can play their distance really effectively. Chepo kind of zoning out Slat here on the side. Damage boost comes out to keep him alive, and it does just barely manage to do that, but the Screeching Solo barely catches him at the last second.
Chepo playing on the Poco is always cute stuff. He knows how to finish off the players that are on the low end and also keep an eye out for those that need to be healed. That's the Poco, man. You're not just a healer. You've got to be offensive as well. 3 shots to the dome. Dark Eagle goes down. We love it. 5-zip so far for IX.
Chepo perfectly juking through all the damage, too. So Strong kiting a little bit. Solo does not make it to him in time to keep him alive, but they still have the advantage star-wise here. Chepo's carrying a lot, though. He has to be really careful, especially with how forward he's pinned in right now. Eagle can take this ground if Strong wasn't right there to push him back.
Hovering around that little right side cubby, not a bad look, but now all in seems to be coming out from IX. I don't love this from Chepo, but I mean, if anybody's going to be able to get away, it's going to be Jack. That said, Slat now takes it back, and it's 10-8. What previously was a 10-star game is now just 4. Slash likely to give up his 5 as well. Lead change for the Skirts.
IX just getting a little bit too forward. They know they have to go in to get these picks with the comp they have, but they didn't leave. They way overstayed their welcome, and now they have to find something at no distance to really do it. They're just going to play inside this damage boost and just melt down anybody who tries to cross that gap.
I mean, this is where I like to thank our players, because this is bad bounty play, but it's good for us to watch because it's exciting. So shout out to IX for trolling their way over here. So Strong trying to find his way in. 5 gems will do it. Can't find the stars, and so Skirts are the victors. IX played that poorly. IX did the wrong thing. IX gave the game away. As I said, thank you for putting on a show, but that was bad Brawl Stars.
It was a learning experience, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were just trying to show how poorly these tank characters are in these open maps, trying to cross the distance into that 8-bit and Piper. So much damage, so hard for them to get in. Just not enough range on the composition when there's barely any cover on that map in the first place.
I mean, sure, really, you get a lead in bounty and then you go hide.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go chase down these kills. It just is what it is. We'll take a look here at some of the replays. 12-8 right now. This is after we've traded out some of those stars. Slash dies, and now the enemy team has the lead, and this is where it gets tough. How are you supposed to tackle this lead with these ranged brawlers across the way? The answer is, haha, you're not. Skirts take game number 1. Not easily, but it was, I phrased that incorrectly. Skirts don't take game number 1. Skirts are given game number 1, and it's 1-0.
I think IX had the right idea with their comp. Like, they had to go in to get those damage. They can't not go in with the characters that they had. They just stayed too long. I think Slash, when getting out, did the right thing. I think he had to go in and punch. Sure. He had to get his super. It's just unfortunate that he ended up having so many stars that flipped it.
All right, now they've got out the Gene. Neutral star goes to IX. Slat on the right side is definitely going to threaten a whole bunch of damage. I like this composition. The 2 sharpshooters and the 8-bit go ahead and kind of provide the damage for Skirts. Right now, Chepo's going to be able to find the Brock. Good cover out by Slash, and it's 4-2.
Slash had great corner poke there, perfectly getting out the Brock. Swagger could not get away, and this is a great pivot from IX. This is what we should expect to see, and 8-bit choice of that, I think it lets them get a little bit more forward, play more in their face. 8-bit very slow, has to kind of trot in and take a lot of damage. So Gene, I think, lets them be a little more flexible and kind of punish any aggression that they try to do on Skirts' side. And they're just walking into that Gene AoE. Slash picks up 2 more or less on the back of that spread. And now they have a big mountain to climb, Skirts do.
Exactly. IX are playing a little bit more reserved this time around. This is probably the better look that you're looking for. Piper stepping up to really find these pot shots, as is Chepo. Nice little combo there as Swagger and Chepo wind up trading each other out. 12-7. Chepo falling down, and by no means will I get angry about that one. That's just a good old-fashioned death.
Bounty. Yeah, just a little trade, and just unfortunate that he had 5 stars to the 2 coming out of Swagger. That's just bounty for you, but
that's a good play by Skirts for what it's worth.
For sure. I mean, Swagger found that hole and got in for the trade, and now even if they all die, 8-8-3 might barely not be enough, but they're going to just keep getting this poke, force them out. Eagle cannot get close enough to confirm these shots because of the damage from Chepo, and popping it in, maybe to clear some cover, maybe not, either way. Still very, very tough for Skirts to overcome this mountain. Lots of damage coming in, 2 more stars for them, and IX are going to bring this to 1-1.
There it is, a little bit more reserved, and that's how you play it. IX are able to go ahead and grab this one. So Strong trolls a little bit and gives away 4 stars, but he knows it's not going to be enough to usurp the lead like we watched in game number 1. So now tied down the middle here for IX Gaming. Here's a little of the replays of what we saw earlier on in game number 2 here that IX bring home. And this is what it was. A lot of damage on Chepo, or from Chepo rather, and Slash was just finishing off the long-range shots.
Yeah, it was great push by them. They found that. They had the 8-bit kind of take some damage too on the way in. I mean, he was right next to Swagger there to kind of distract a little bit and chip down, and they found it, but Just was not enough. Still on the Bounty, though.
Bounty split down 1-1, so we're going to continue on Bounty here. Shooting Star, the same map. We're not changing anything, just staying with what we've done before. So just reminding players, in case you're just joining us, what map and what mode we're going to be jumping on. Bounty, usually a much more slower game mode. This time around, IX decided to have some fun and actually lose at their own, kind of behest. And then game number 2, they're still a little bit more aggressive, but that's the good style of aggro that we want to see. Nothing too far, just enough to get your kills and then walk it back.
Yeah, finding the holes in the defense, not necessarily forcing it by walking in. You gotta keep your distance. And Crow coming out for IX, kind of interesting. Maybe a little bit more dive potential if they do get someone low to go in with that super.
That's the game plan, I think, from Chepo. Honestly, I think he's just having some fun here to be just straight up. But Crow has been effective at a high level recently. You can really just straight assassinate people. The 8-bit is going to be an interesting target. It is very tanky, almost 6,000 health on him. We'll see who he jumps on.
Yeah, could just be trying to trade out with the 8-bit because somebody has to do it,
right,
and then he'll use the super to cross the map and go everywhere else. Also, most health means it can kind of be a super soak, right? Just hit him and constantly get that charge to use that super. A lot of pressure here. Swagger might just be dead, and he is.
Oh, slat with the BM there. The extra life comes through, and the Crow's mad. Chepo Tube on the other side can't really handle it, has to walk away. And now, Skirts are in a wonderful position. I know they're down 4 stars, but they got 60+ seconds to work with here. They've got the 8-bit super. 8-bit going down isn't a great look. Now, the Dark Eagle's going to get jumped on by the Dark Crow, and, well, I guess Dark Eagle is going to... there's a joke there about eating Crow, and I don't know, I'm not... It ain't there. 14-6 right now. IX Gaming are certainly there. 40 seconds on the clock.
Good patience by IX, too, to wait to Magic Hand the 8-bit until after the revive is down.
Great
Once
call.
They get that, bust that wall down, and he can't... If he did it before the revive, that's awful. That's terrible positioning. And
Beautiful.
Slat just a little too close at that low HP. People are not used to the dive potential of Crow. DOT takes down Swagger, too, and Skirts are going to find this really difficult to come back from.
Yeah, wonderful play here from Chepo. Very dangerous play style for Bounty, but if you're able to get it, you're able to get it. Even now, if Chepo's going to die still, we'll find it more than in IX's favor. Yeah, spin to win, buddy. You've earned it. That type of nonsense, I do not mind at all. I got a little stern before, Kresnik.
Yeah.
I got a little angry in game number 1. But I'm not one who hates fun. I just say, if you're going to do that, you might as well win. This time around, homie brings home the victory. You can dance all you want. You can play the Crow all you want. Wonderful play here for IX. We're moving on to set number 2.
I mean, the Crow had merit. It really did, just being able to get away with going on somebody. Sometimes in Bounty, it's so tough because you poke them and then they hide. Poke them and then they hide, and back and forth constantly. But Crow just let them cross that distance. Yeah, it probably was a bit of a nobody plays this, but I'm good enough to beat you with it kind of pick, but still.
Exactly. And if you're going to play a hyper-aggressive pick like Crow, or sometimes we see the Mortis come out, really what you're looking for is you're looking for 2 big shots as we move on to Gem Grab. If you're able to get 2 big shots, jump in, kill them. Jump and kill him again. The distance between the amount of stars you give up when you die and the amount of stars your team has is larger than what you lose. So that if you're able to play really aggressive, even if they get my 5 stars, it's 23-7. Who cares? I've done the hard work, the heavy labor earlier on, so I'm able to be more aggressive at this point in the game. I've got no beef if you're going to be playing super aggressive like that.
Yeah.
Choices are great. Awesome. IX up. 1-0.
Yeah, we're moving to a similar game mode, Gem Grab. Usually a little bit slower, kind of similar to Bounty in that sense, but this map, there's a pretty forward brush. It lets them cover a lot of distance and get in. I expect to see probably some spike just to be able to check that brush, and Swagger does bring it out, able to kind of have that curveball cover that whole area, not let anyone get away without being seen.
All right, well, we got a Carl. We got a Dynamite. It's been a jump, haha, no pun intended, since we've seen Mike come out. Big Super will cut up some of the nonsense, and there's Slash on the left side. Nice combo for the mid and the left. Swagger down below, and Chepo's able to turn around and take him down, no problem. 3 gems in the middle, and they all belong to Carl, baby. He's going to pick it up, spin around, thinks about the attack, but plays it safe.
I think he used it just to keep himself alive, that protective pirouette, giving him that damage reduction just to back off. Carl's going to be the gem carry here. Dynamite doing a lot in the middle. Also use the super to clear out that space, give Chepo a little bit more room on the bow. using the Circling Eagle also to not have to have that spike to check that area. He's just going to do it with his face. He's got enough health to get away with it. And the traps are going to be great at stopping people from flanking if the tanks get too close.
I'm a big fan of this Dynamite selection. Right now, it's working out 5-4. That said, Skirts do have control of the mid lane, the mid space, and that's really what you're looking for to, well, grab those gems, as the name would imply. So you're looking out for that mid control right now, which Skirts have. But Mike is very good at punishing that sort of thing. Here, Poco's going to get blown up. Has a nice heal in store. Not enough damage from the right, but the left side, Chepo finds it.
That indirect wall piercing damage destroyed him, screeching solo into the one little tick from the curveball to pick him down. And
look at the bow. You want to pick up those gems, buddy. Poco's going to walk on to the mines. Well played. Gets Dark Eagle blown up. 9-5. Skirts putting in work here. And that's going to be 10. And the red team looking for the victory. Slash says, no way. And blue team take it. Spin to win. This is theirs to lose.
Got to back up just a little bit, though. Anyone dies, and that cooldown will stop, so definitely have to get it. Well, maybe not I'm so strong, but the people the most forward are the ones with the most gems. Got to back up. Love to dive with a protective pirouette there to make room. And Chepo maybe a little bit too forward, gets caught in the spike slow, but they get the picks on the other side, and IX take it.
That's the way you play it, man. Gem grab a little bit faster than Bounty, a little bit slower than some of the heist matches that we see, but that one right on cue. You love to see the way that these guys come out and play. And like I said, be aggressive. I say this a lot when you've got games with like longer game time. You want to play your lead, but don't let the lead play you. And that's what we see IX. They're like, all right, listen, we're a little bit of the top card here. We can be a little bit more aggressive than usual, but don't game one it and just throw it all away because you're being a little bit too happy-go-lucky. This is the nice in-between. Play aggro, play fancy, but play safe at the end.
And also playing off these kind of different brawlers that you don't see sometimes on these maps, really, it worked out for them, I feel. That dive with the Carl Super, with the protective pirouette, there was really no answer from Skirt. There was really nothing they could do to stop that, and all the gems went down to that one Carl Super.
Exactly. We're going to play another game here on Double Swoosh Gem Grab, and you pointed out all of the wonderful brush that you're able to utilize. What if Mike says no?
Yeah. What if Mike says, I got a keg here, and it's not for a party, it's for blowing up all this brush, clearing up a lot of ground. They didn't even need to blow up the brush. They had the bow with the Circling Eagle. A lot of vision for them there, but make it a little easier for everybody else. You have Carl let him have some fun too, and clearly he did with how effective he was by the end.
It's been a jump since we've really seen some Carl as well. Carl and Dynamite, two characters that we rarely get a chance to take a glance at. So it was fun to watch in game number 1. Game number 2, as we jump into it, we get to see Colt and Mortis. IX really bringing us the entirety of the cast.
Yeah, Colt, that's a really good destruction on his super, and just great damage if he can get close enough, but kind of hard for him to duel until he gets that online. You can see Swagger already kind of getting the best of it because of how hard Curveball is to dodge, but I think Slash is doing a good job at keeping him up, but I'm So Strong tries to make a dive, but Chepo and Slash are just not ready to follow up in time.
Colt's a long-range sharpshooter that I think has just been out machined, so to speak. I mean, Piper is very similar and just kind of better, and you look at what 8-Bit's able to do versus Colt. Obviously, there's the terrain destruction that you bring up, but
Great super there by Slash to find them. Gems don't get picked up by them, but they might be able to find the kill, and Chepo looked like he might have tried to quick fire it. It went to Swagger, so they couldn't pick off Eagle. Slash barely caught in the corner, and if Colt has any niche, I feel like it has to be with the Slick Boots rotation potential, right? Just being able to stay more mobile than a lot of other people. I'm So Strong, great dive into the back to get Slat, but the gems are still being held by Eagle, and the DR will keep him just barely alive to get away. 7
gems in total as Dark Eagle takes a tumble. Chepo's able to put down the spike player as well. Poco picks up 2 and is immediately shot down. These two will put IX at number 9. There's number 10 spawning out the middle. So Strong with the BM stutter step. Swagger kind of check up to him. And not tossing out the super just yet. 8 seconds to go. Slat and Swagger on the jump. So Strong looks for the flank. Gets it. But the reset is there. So Strong waiting for the ammo. Chepo will provide the kill. And we'll get the countdown one more time.
Chepo's going to go forward to get some other gems too, just maybe to play it safe, but it looks like they just want to take it into him. He has the pop-in so he can get away, just in case something does come in. Slat goes down. A little dance coming out from them, and he actually pop-ins in, but So Strong will be able to get a 10th gem. I guess not in time to keep the countdown going for IX, though.
Right now, 13 seconds to run. Swagger on the chase. Mortis able to run away. 10 gems in total on Morty. See if anybody can Go ahead and stick a thorn in his side, but with 2 seconds left, I think that's that. IX take game and set number 2. We're on to the third match.
Mortis
Set.
Gem Carrier is bold. It's a bold strategy, but once you're getting chased down, it's not that bad. Coiled Snake back. Just keep your distance, stay away. Really hard for him to catch up to you.
He's faster than a lot of the characters. Yeah. Obviously, he's got a low health pool, but he's just going to be able to kind of dash out of there. I guess not super low, about 4,000, give or take, 5K.
It feels low when you're in their face.
Exactly.
His health pool, I think, really is balanced by his super and the lifesteal regen you get from it. I think that's really what makes it feel a little bit higher than it is. Against a good Mortis who knows he can get away with dash in, dash back, and then super you backwards, that's where the health pool really feels like it's 8K, 9K almost sometimes.
Mortis can definitely be a problem for some players, but IX, everything looks good for them so far. 2-2, only dropping the first game versus Skirts. It's been all Millhouse for them up until this point. Now, moving on to our third match, I believe that means we're up to Siege.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. We'll have to see objective-wise. Just changed a lot, but we're going to Heist. It's close enough.
Well, here's the thing. I guessed. I said, there's a 1 in 3 chance I'm right. And when I say it, I trust my production team, which is the best in the business, to put the graphic up. And so I just took a guess, and now I was wrong. The players are right. We're here at Heist. And the Bull and the Dynamite production talking to my head. Love you guys. Dark Eagle is going to be the focal point of this match. Skirts need this Bull to be able to get up close and personal and do some nonsense.
Such a good map for Bull, especially since if you get close enough, your Bull charge can literally just destroy that entire line of tires.
You're looking for it.
Yeah, for sure. He has the Berserk though, so he's looking to more do kind of a suicidal dive onto the safe instead of trying to get back away at the end. Sort of ignoring Slat here. He's going to get a respectable amount of damage, but not damaging a player, so he's not going to be able to get closer to his super.
Still totally worth it. Dark Eagle ready to go. No super available, but can totally contest and deal the damage. This is where he's going to be looking. Slash paying attention over there. The super will heal him up just a little bit. And Swagger throwing some pot shots. This is very good play from Skirts. 10% done to their own box. Dark Eagle will fall down, but only 16% to go here for Skirts.
They need to melt down the squishy members on Skirts, IX do. They need to cross this gap. I'm So Strong finding a little bit of a way into their base. Bull playing actually right behind the tires, not really able to hit anything. Need his bear, a panda in this case, should go down quickly. And IX have decent control of this middle area, but not what they need.
That's it.
They had good control until they just let that shot happen. They weren't able to get in at all.
That was beautiful play there by Skirts. I think a lot of us watching have been seeing IX just kind of clean house.
Yeah.
This, on the other hand, and I bring up game number 1, no disrespect to Skirts, IX kind of threw that game. Let's just call a spade a spade. This one, however, this was all Skirts, baby. I mean, this was the red team putting in the work, finding the shots, and playing aggressively. We talk about how this one can be tough to kind of come back. There's no comeback mechanic. If you're not up top, you're probably on the bottom, and Skirts are the first ones to really make a noticeable strike, and they continue to stick to it.
Just having Chepo to stop Slat, too, it just wasn't enough, and we can see them kind of moving to a more standard. We're still seeing Dynamite, but we got the Bull instead of the Mortis. Definitely the premier frontliner character, I would say, on this map for sure.
I think Mike versus Barley is a conversation. 90% of the players are going to go to the Barley, but Mike, a more difficult character, but potentially more payoff, depending on how you look at it. Barley going to make his way to the box right now.
Yeah, he's getting some good damage onto it and kind of being uncontested because IX thinks they can outrace him, and 3 players, they might be right. Slash running the damage reduction too, putting on a lot up there, but he does go down, and that's most of the damage gone. Hopefully for IX's sake, Slash can take him down on the respawn. Chepo actually manages to win that 1v1 up top, so he'll be able to keep laying in the damage. Is he running the Black Portal? He is not, but the Healing Sheet will let him stay up there just a little bit longer.
19% left for Skirts' box. Meanwhile, on the other side, IX is able to play offense. 2% with Swagger here to play defense. It's locked down. Still alive for Skirts, just barely. That said, 18% across the way. IX's box should totally go down with this dive from Eagle. He's there providing the shots, takes a player down, gets taken down himself. It's 7% to 1. Real back and forth here, Kresnik. Strong tosses it out, and that'll do it. IX Gaming ties set number 2. Excuse me, set number 3. It's 1-1.
That body block by Chepo saved the game. Straight up. Chepo right on that safe, blocked that shot by Bull. That 100% saved the game. Without that, that was a 2-0 for Skirts. Perfect positioning by him to make that quick fire hit him instead of the safe. grab them. I mean, they just needed to buy that little bit of time. They know they can get the distance. So little HP left, and Chepo did a great job there, too, getting it low. Couldn't get the last shot out, but absolutely made up for it by stopping Eagle on the bottom side.
Yeah, that stop, very, very important. And this is a really interesting match because normally we don't see the back and forth like that. Normally it's much more of a, they got off to a lead, we can't play D and catch up, so there they go. So that was a real nice answer, honestly, from both teams. That was the best we have seen Skirts play. Obviously, they took the last one. I still think their performance here in game number 2 was even better than the one that they won.
Yeah, because IX are playing more slightly off-meta brawlers, I would say, but they've reverted back in that last game. I mean, they dropped the Mortis, they picked up the Bull, and Skirts were still able to put up that much of a fight, even with that close of a battle.
IX Gaming going for a little bit of a crow here. Again, a character killer. Can totally do a lot of damage to the heist box, but certainly going to murder this Nita if she shows up in the wrong neighborhood. That said, Strong going to bring the party to her. It's the Nita super, but 59%. It's a base race so far. 25 has been done to IX, and half has been done to the Skirts.
It was a base race, but Chepo got both the picks on the bottom, and Slat was just buying time. Chepo actually won it and got the kill, sending him to the respawn. So Strong backing up here. Bull charge used a little bit early by Dark to try to chase down that kill, so now they won't have that to break space in the bottom to get into that safe if they find the open.
Strong's able to take one, and almost Dark Eagle, not able to provide it just yet. Chepo jumps in, and I love Dark Eagle's decision, but I don't love the outcome. It's all-out brawl. 2 players on the safe. 6% to go, and Slash will be chased out the long way. Strong has Star.
Yeah, he's just holding on. That's why I was laughing, because he's just channeling the super. They know there's potentially nothing they can do to stop him if he goes in and lands it. Yeah, he can land that at a moment. Bull charge comes in to distract Eagle. As soon as Eagle takes one step off, Strong goes in and takes the game for IX, and they take the finals.
Game, set, match, baby. Finals are taken by IX Gaming. That's absolutely how they planned it out. Had some fun along the way. We had some fun as well. Good stuff. I love the Crow play. I think it's kind of fun to see the oddball characters come out, especially when they get played well.
Yeah, I thought the Crow was played exceptionally. I mean, at the end, he checkmated the safe. You were talking about Crow's lack of objective damage, but right here, I mean,
what are you doing?
It was over at this point.
It's over. As soon as somebody jumps on him, he jumps in. That's why we see Slat kind of having fun, so it is what it is.
Yeah, we're heading to the bracket here. IX, as we saw, IX's run through didn't drop a map, it looks like, or entire mode the entire time through. IX taking its Skirts, had a bit of a brawl. They kept getting knocked back, but taking down everything is fine there in the semifinals was a huge game for them, and I mean, it brought them to the regional finals coming up in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. We'll take a look at the regional finals bracket as well and see who will be making their way to the potential trip to Korea. Don't forget, these are the teams that we will be playing for the chance to find themselves at finals in Korea. Team Totality, Vanstars, Elites, Arena Quesito, AA.exe, Skirts, Tribe Gaming, IX Gaming, and I left them out just to make them feel bad about being last. Space Station Gaming win the 3rd place match. A lot of fan favorites here. Tribe, IX, Space Station finally make it. You know, I think there's a lot of fun to really be had here. This is going to be a wild bracket as we find our way to the regional finals.
Yeah, these teams are all able to contest each other. I cannot wait for them. Seeing some really good Brawl Stars, some probably wacky picks, teams kind of trying to mental game each other. I doubt we'll see maybe the same picks coming from IX that week, but your face is telling me otherwise right now.
You never know, man. It's everything's on the table when it comes to Brawl Stars. As I said, if you're just joining us, if you're slamming this out of nowhere because you saw it kind of advertised on Brawl TV, this was our open qualifiers, and it all comes to a close. We're going to bring this one into our regional qualifiers. That's the bracket we just showed you. So everyone gets a chance to battle it out, and we've whittled it down to some of the best teams. We're going to whittle it down even further to see who is the best teams in the entire world. International competition in Korea. It all starts September 14th. November 14th. Right now, we got to play through the regional finals. But that does it for the open part of the bracket. Thank you so much for joining us. Kresnik, do you have a favorite moment?
I think it had to be that little starter step at the end. I mean, I know it was the most recent one that happened, but it was just so silly to watch. That and the 1% to 0% earlier, I think at semis it was.
Back and forth has been a lot of fun. But I think that's going to do it for us as far as our open bracket has been concerned. Like I said, regionals will come up next, and then the actual big boy fight out there in Korea. But for now, we bid you adieu. Thank you so much for joining us. For myself, Pretty Hair, Kresnik, everybody behind the scenes, and especially you guys, thank you, and keep on brawling.